39-38. Patrick Mahomes tossed 4 touchdown passes. Travis Kelce had 12 catches for $179 and a score. Chiefs handled the Chargers 31-17. Kansas City is now 6-1. Lamar Jackson passed for 3 scores, ran for another as the Ravens dominated the Detroit Lions 38-6. Bears beat the Raiders 30-12. An undrafted rookie quarterback Tyson Bagent's first career start. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
If you're a veteran or know a veteran who's having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, the Veterans Crisis Line provides direct connection to free, confidential, and compassionate support. Dial 988, then press 1, and you'll be connected to a trained crisis counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to additional resources if needed. Thank you for your service. We owe you our support. Dial 988, then press 1. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
I'm Christy. I used to smoke cigarettes. I had smoker's cough and severe shortness of breath, and I knew I had to quit. Then I tried e-cigarettes, but I just ended up using both. I really didn't start to get better until I quit smoking completely. My tip to you is, just cutting down on the number of cigarettes you smoke isn't enough.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Chase Senate Contracting, Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair, and Rotella's Italian Bakery. Immediately after the game, join the show and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction with McKegg and 1620 The Zone.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. 1620 The Zone.
It's Johnson. It's Harburg. Beg your pardon, and he's in. Touchdown. Harburg. Sullivan pressured. Got away once, not twice. Deny run Bonner. Fullback in, but Harburg, he's taking a shot. Downfield, wide open end zone. Caught, touchdown. It's Malachi Coleman.
This is a party. It's awesome.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. 1620thezone.com and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
Good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome in. And we kick off a week, Monday, after what I would label as a fun weekend of sports. Some of you out there might disagree because your team was on the wrong side of the ledger. I'm going to tell you, we don't say the word fun enough in sports. I had a fun weekend. That was a fun weekend of sports.
Yeah, I would agree. I would go 48 hours of fun for myself personally. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
I think it was fun. It was Detroit. It was Detroit Lions 2022 fun.
Yeah, you know what? We don't say the word fun enough in sports. Everybody's angry. Everybody's upset. Everybody's UGLY. You ain't got no alibi. You ugly. You ugly. Which is used a lot in football these days. We need to have more fun because you know what? This weekend was fun. Now, would I be saying that if my professional football team lost? Yes, I would.
Would
yes,
you? Okay. Would you?
Yes, because it's fun. Look at this. Look at the weekend that we had in sports around here. First of all, I'm also very excited because I just heard what the weather forecast is. This is the 23rd of October. You can feel winter is like closing in.
Stop.
I mean, the NBA begins tomorrow. A week from today, we have a sports equinox. Put it on your calendar. Look it up.
It all happens. It all happens.
So it's like going to be 81 today.
Yeah.
I might be shirtless at some point today.
Mm-hmm.
Even Fairmont could do it.
I might be helicoptering that shirt going on the 16th hole. Woo, baby.
If you're not on the course for 18, this is the driving range day.
Okay, so you know why this was a fun sports weekend. We need to embrace fun, which has a lot to do with the theme of the Nebraska football season. That, by the way, a winning record. You wake up on the 23rd of October, Nebraska football has a winning record. But it was like a historical weekend in Lincoln. You celebrated history of the old grandma on 10th and Vine. People brought presents. Northwestern brought a very odd celebration, which we will get to, that I think needs more run now that we're post-game of a milking celebration. But, okay. But you celebrated the stadium. And then you had a historic night not very far from there on Saturday night when Nebraska volleyball defeated Wisconsin. And, game of the century. Like, I always like stuff. I always tell everybody, I like stuff that exceeds expectations, like the Tiger Woods, the LeBron James, the Bryce Harpers that are built up like your buttercup. And then all of a sudden they exceed that. I love that. Okay. And we hear so many times game of the century. Oh, it's another game of the century. It's a 1 versus 2. And half live up to it. The other half, just they fall flat.
They build me a buttercup just like
your 8th grade girlfriend. Okay. So in this case, you had what happened Saturday night at the Devaney Center exceeded expectations. But I want to tell you something, because if you follow volleyball and you are well into the sport and you watch how things go and then you check the box score afterwards, there's a lot of reasons why Nebraska should not have won on Saturday night. But we've always had like the Sooner magic in that stadium that they celebrated 100 years on Saturday. Man, there might be some Husker magic before 9K at the Devaney Center. That was fun. Watching Iowa fans lose their mind and throw garbage on the field was fun. What you should do is you should drive to the Ferentz's house and throw garbage on their lawn because they are holding your program back. Even though I do kind of feel bad for you because that whole thing pointing that, we'll get into that. But look at the weekend of football. Last night we had great baseball. I mean, we had boos. Anytime a guy can go on the road and get booed, I think is fun. I thought it was fun that Miami got throttled again by an elite team in the NFL. Yes. It was a fun sports weekend, and it's going to be a fun show breaking all of this down, and we're glad to have all of you in, boys.
I like the angle you're going because
that's your 8th grade girlfriend?
Well, it wasn't her fault. I mean, come on. It's just
I think by 8th grade, though.
Some are more blessed than others when it comes to that part
ones I knew were pretty blessed
of life. So, you don't point the finger. All you can really do is just say, hey, just keep trying. Keep growing up. Things will happen. Just like the offense for Nebraska. Just keep trying.
Handley for puberty.
See, it all relates. It all relates back to the offense. Just keep trying. All right. Just
would you say
keep that head
deflating to start, but then at the end it was uplifting.
Yeah, and the defense really stuffed.
Isn't that the kind of cycle? I guarantee we're the only show that is now doing this analogy
somehow.
Isn't that the cycle, though?
It is.
Yeah.
All right.
It is.
Okay.
Start slow.
Then you
ball up the middle.
and then you can throw in the stuffing part of it too. Like, oh wow, never mind. Okay,
What were you boys talking about? Thanksgiving.
We're not going to go. We're not going to go there.
I'm going to save you here before you step in it.
We're going to find a line, but no, this was the Saturday build up. First of all, I mean, a win's a win no matter what. We talked about good teams cover, and
don't apologize for winning.
You don't. And
can I apologize real quick though?
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong. So I said, don't overthink it. Nebraska will cover. They didn't cover. So I was wrong. I was wrong, and I'm owning up to it at 6:14.
Yeah, I mean, you did get. I mean, if you were able to get that thing in at a 10.5.
No, I was wrong. I was wrong. And I admit it.
Yeah.
I admit it. It's not
good
fun,
on you.
It's not fun to be wrong, but you got to admit when you're wrong. And I was wrong about how that game would play out.
That's big on you. I appreciate that. The whole part of that game, like I was thinking about this even last night, and it's so easy to just have all kinds of thoughts. I'm sure there was a lot going on with Big Red overreaction too when it came to the offense again, and an offense again where you lose two more key contributors to that offense. Where I think this is an us problem right now. When I say us, like us either as people who follow this program or who watch this program, that if you walk away from the offensive performance at this point and you are overly nitpicky, there's at some point you got to give yourself that mental slap of like, this is just what it is right now. You would hope that things would look a little bit more clean, a little bit more tightened up, like just execution standpoints coming off of a bye week. And that didn't happen. But that's, again, this offense, it's just going to kind of leave you there. And that's where I had to stop and say, I don't think I can be overly critical because you know what? We got the one big play. Option pass, by the way. Yeah, that was fun. But you did get the big play there.
Mm-hmm.
You played off of the defensive dominance that clearly existed in a game where, and this is where you weren't wrong, Mr. Sharp, is where you said that matchup between Northwestern's offense and Nebraska's defense is just too one-sided. And it played out that way. I mean, it truly did. And so that part of the game that we all hoped would play out, it did. Offense was able to get by. And what they have in front of them as far as personnel is conversation for maybe tomorrow or later in the day when Matt Rule speaks. But you set the tone that day. You get a victory. You're 4-3. Then, and as you pointed out, moments after that game ended, as you might have been getting in your car listening to Connor and Gary, or just however you were, maybe you were getting right to a TV so you could see the end of the Battle of Floyd. And you're now thinking, okay, Wisconsin had a chance to be in the driver's seat a week before. They failed to do so. Iowa had a chance to be in the driver's seat in the Big Ten West this last weekend. They failed to do so. And you just won, Nebraska. So all of a sudden, as we talk about the goal of relevant games that matter in November, you're one step closer to making that continue to be the case. So that's great. And then you shift your attention, because here's the great thing about the broadcast of the football game. Almost every return from commercial break was hyping the Nebraska-Wisconsin volleyball match too. So if you were watching the game on TV, not that you needed a reminder, but there was a big buildup for that. And then for that to play out the way that it did and to go 5 sets, I'll give Amy just credit because she guaranteed that would be a 5-set match either way. And I think we were all hoping that would be the case. Wasn't necessarily looking that way at one point in the 4th set. That was awesome to see the way that ended. And our lasting image of that day, of that glorious Saturday in Lincoln, is John Cook wearing the student section red cowboy hat, which he demanded. Somebody give me one right now. That was fun. So again, going back, fun. That was fun.
All right. The theme of the day is fun. If you're not here to have fun, wait for the after 7
Get the
o'clock,
fun out of here.
After 7 o'clock show tonight, when you'll be a Viking fan and trying to watch Kirk Cousins win on Monday night.
Yeah, thank God there's a game 7 tonight.
So I said right away on Big Red Overreaction is, and I probably have been a culprit of this. Got to be in the moment. You know, they always say, be where your feet are. So this has to be about the 23 Nebraska football team. So Nebraska won. That's the most important thing, is they won a game, because winning is better than losing. Jimmy, not sure if you knew that or not.
That's what I've been
I hope
told.
that happens tonight for your team.
Yeah,
but winning is much better than losing.
Maybe Calvin LaLouche said the same thing.
And you know, the whole thing about Matt Rule last week about the Wisconsin-Iowa game is beautiful. Was Saturday beautiful? First of all, the game was out of sync right away. I mean, Nebraska has to figure out offensively and defensively slow starts. How do they get out of these slow starts that they are having? Because I've got evidence that the back end of the offense is really interesting with the Carney tank compared to the beginning of the game. So was it beautiful? It was out of sync to begin. But at the end of the day, Nebraska won a football game. Okay. And you never felt that Northwestern was threatening. At least I did not. I did not think that Northwestern, despite having the ball given to them 7 times in Nebraska's territory, only scored 9 points. I never thought Nebraska was threatened in that game. And in the fourth quarter, Nebraska controlled the game. And at the end of the day, beautiful or not, Nebraska is 4-3. They have a winning record this time of the year for a long time. They've won 4 of 5, which is a stretch that we haven't talked about a lot around here. Mm-hmm. And I know, and we'll have some fun because there is the reality. Nebraska's offense is UGLY. And it could even get worse because now you are out Ethan Piper. You could be out an extended period of time with Billy Kemp. I mean, it's a hodgepodge, and they've basically taken bandages and tried to put this offense together. And you don't have an elite quarterback and an elite offensive play caller. So you're game by game. But you know what? I'm okay right now in year one. And I'm going to bring Iowa into the conversation because what they're dealing with is when you play ugly football, and guys, how many times are we hearing this in football? It's not just college, it's the NFL. Oh man, they're winning ugly. Or boy, that offense looked ugly. I think we're in a little weird spot in 23 in the game of football that offenses are really struggling.
Yeah.
Whether it be quarterback injuries, red zone issues, there is a depth of pass rushers throughout football that create problems with the offensive line.
The Steelers are 4-2.
There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of teams that are going, man, we looked ugly and we lost, or we won ugly and we won. If you are winning this way in year one with what is at hand with Nebraska offensively, right now I'm okay with it. If you are Iowa and you are further down the road and everybody told you that you'll have a better quarterback, running back, wide receiver, albeit they do have some injuries as well that have knocked out 2 of those 3 key components, that is an enemy. That is an enemy that comes back and bites you when you're further down the road and you still are playing ugly football. For Nebraska, it's going to be an enemy at one point in the final 5 games. I don't know which one it is, but it will be. I mean, that's just the reality of the way the situation is. But for right now, Nebraska won a game, and that's all that matters. And we may have to adjust our definition of beautiful. But they've won 4 of 5, and they're 4-3. And believe it or not, they still, in a wild world, would need some help. They could still go and be a sacrificial lamb in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. So you celebrate the small victories.
Yeah,
and I don't know if Matt Rule, after what he said on Saturday, will say today, you know what? I went back and looked at the tape, boys and girls, and there was a thing of beauty that I saw in that game. Yeah, you know what you saw a thing of beauty?
The weather.
No,
your defense.
For the first time in a long time, I feel like the guys that wear black shirts earned them.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go to bed now from here on out, every time you bow down at the Devaney statue in your bedroom and you rub Bob's belly and you rub his cheeks because, you know, the Bob father had the cheeks.
Yep. Take a little pinkish hue.
Thank God that Matt Rule employed Tony White and the other defensive coaches, because that side of the ball is giving Nebraska hope that we can all go to Detroit the day after Christmas.
We're back to Detroit again?
I saw a lot of Detroit
come on.
projections yesterday.
The hell, it was funny. We were going to Phoenix
downtown.
During the bye week.
The hell out of Toledo and Miami of Ohio. I'm all for it.
Didn't even play a game during the bye week, and we were going to places like Phoenix and Vegas. Now we're going back to Detroit. But
could be 40 degrees warm.
That was, I think, more than anything is, okay, we knew the matchup itself between Northwestern and Nebraska's defense. Northwestern's offense versus Nebraska's defense was going to favor Nebraska's defense. But how did they look? How did they look coming out of the bye week? Did they look prepared? And again, okay, you got Luke Reimer back, but you still have Deshaun Singleton out. Then you lose Tommy Hill early on. Malcolm Hartzog's forced to go back to play corner, where He did get burned on one. But that group looked prepared. And again, you saw a constant rotation. You saw this is what's more, I think, maybe the most exciting. Like there was and I know Matt Rule talked about it too, but if you're watching that game, the Isaac Gifford, especially when they go to replay and you see how Isaac Gifford was outnumbered on that screen pass, and yet he's able to get off of a guy who weighs probably 100 more pounds than him and make the play. That was a huge play there. But the amount of young guys, like watching the evolution of Princewell is awesome. The young guys that continue to contribute on this defense mixed in with the more veteran guys, like it's just clicking for this group. They seem to be far more prepared than any other unit that was on that field between those two teams. So that was.
Are they prepared, or are they just who they are?
Probably both, but I thought it was very clean. I thought everything was really similar to what you saw in those first couple of games where we were really raving about how they were swarming, how they weren't missing tackles. Everything was just on point. And maybe to your point, maybe that is just who they are. But having a little time off that can go one of two ways. You could be a little bit rusty, or you can kind of pick up from where you left off, be pretty dialed in. And they were just dialed in the entire way. So either way, whether you want to call it very well prepared or just playing to their identity right now, either way, it was fantastic to watch because, again, this was another game, and we've had a couple of them this year, where as much as you wanted to see every offensive drive end with points, you didn't hate to see the defense back on the field, because it was one of those games where Northwestern and Sullivan he looked lost. He looked almost overwhelmed at times when they're bearing down on him, that you just felt they were going to make a mistake, that it was going to land in the hands of a Nebraska defender and you're going to get points that way, where you just weren't sure what the Nebraska defense was going to do, but they're going to do something that was going to be pretty cool, whether it was a TFL or there's a sack or whether it was a turnover. Their presence on the field just gave you confidence that everything was going to be okay that day.
This is a defense that eats up bad offenses and bad quarterback play.
And there's plenty of them in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, they're very fortunate this year. In 2023, there's only one team that in terms of offensive efficiency is at the top 100 in the West. There's one. Okay. So that's why I'm saying we got to stay in the moment here. We got to stay in 23. We can have these moments and we can have imperfect wins. If we're here next October after a trip to, one of our new friends in the Big Ten and we're going, man, Nebraska is ugly. I'm going to go, you know what? This isn't as fun as it was in 2023, because ugly can be an enemy at some point. Oh, yeah. Just ask Iowa. But the one thing that this team is doing, and they do have imperfect wins, but still they're 4-3. And that's all that matters on the road to get to 6, which we'll get into a little bit later, which after watching Saturday and then watching the rest of the Big Ten West and kind of the college football landscape, it is the most important thing right now ahead of Nebraska, is that they have to find a way to get to 6. Now you could say get to 6 and then, well, okay, but just get me to 6.
Yeah.
The thing about this defense, and we throw flowers at them when we should, because 5 of the 7 games they've allowed 20 or less. Hey, I root for an NFL team that their defense is really, really good at all 3 levels. And the Kansas City Chiefs might have a Patrick Mahomes who threw for over 400 yesterday, but it's not all about Mahomes. This defense at Nebraska is good enough that it's not all about the struggles on offense and the inconsistencies of a quarterback. That shows you how good this defense is. But the one big thing I really, really like about this defense, and I'll get into my now new infatuation with James Williams and what it actually means inside of the walls of Nebraska football, is this defense goes and makes plays. They go and make plays. Would I like more takeaways? Hell yes. But they make plays instead of reacting. And I will say another key thing that all you need to do to look inside of the walls of that defensive side of the football is at the end of the game, when it's 17-9 and Northwestern, and thank you, Northwestern, you're not very good. Okay. You're just not. Your game management, your play calling, you look like that looked like 2 500 football teams.
Yep.
But Northwestern, good on David Braun, because I don't know how they won 3 games. That wasn't a very good football team that Nebraska played. But Nebraska is kind of in the same neighborhood, and they were better at the game of football than Northwestern was. But look at the end of the game, boys. 17-9. You're thinking, oh, don't give up a touchdown. What have we done in the past? Oh, God, don't. Nebraska went to make plays instead of sitting back. That shows me a lot about the mindset of guys that are in headsets and what they've developed with guys in helmets. That is a great thing moving forward the rest of the year and beyond, is that we don't play prevent, we dictate the situation. And that's what they did at the end of the game yesterday or on Saturday. And I thought that was a key point at the end when I never thought Northwestern was going to come back, but still there's a chance you could throw up a Hail Mary and get a 2-point conversion. And we're going to overtime and we're like, oh, I wonder if they'll bump back the Nebraska-Wisconsin volleyball match.
Well, I think there's a comfort if you're a defensive player, you've been playing a certain way all day, regardless of what the scoreboard would show you, unless you're up by like 28, then obviously you're probably not in the game. You're probably having some other guys play. But when that mindset changes because of what the defensive coordinator is calling, and this kind of goes back to something that I thought was interesting when Tony White talked about he was asked the question about dealing with a group of guys that are maybe still there's still a little bit of scar tissue from previous years of, how each moment can, that you try so hard and then you fail and all of a sudden you're not confident, and how that can change even the play caller's ability to successfully be able to organize the defense. Because if you feel like you got a group that's somewhat mentally fragile, then all of a sudden maybe you're second guessing on what you want to call, as opposed to what you're seeing right now with this defense, where none of any past issues have any relevancy to this group right now, to where they know there's a certain way that they're supposed to play, regardless of the game, as long as they're in there, that they're going to play in an aggressive style. They're going to play in attack mode. And if you take attack mode away from them and say, hey, let's be a little bit more conservative, that's where I think as a player who's been part of some previous defenses where you've had some weird things happen, that's where maybe you get out of the norm and you start thinking, oh, wait, okay, I don't know if I want to do this. I think it's absolutely genius on Tony White's part to say, and as long as you guys are on there, we're not changing a damn thing of what we're doing. We're always in attack mode, whether we're trying to hold on to a 11-point lead or we're trying to hold on to a 3-point lead. It doesn't change because we don't want you guys to change. Because when this defense starts to maybe do things differently from a mindset, that's where I think they're probably going to get in trouble, when you're trying to hold on to win a game like that. So, yeah, I think that's without question the thing that stands out about this team is it doesn't seem like all of a sudden, ooh, all right, I think they're even like early in the game, like, yeah, you could tell they're being a little bit more conservative here. No, I mean, it's always one gear on how they're flying to the football. And I think at some point that goes beyond scheme. I think that's just the mentality that you have with 18 guys. Hell, even more when he looks at the snap count, but at least 18 guys that are playing consistent football for this defense that have one way of going about it right now, because that tone has been set early on by this defensive staff and this defensive coordinator.
And they're above 500 this late in October in 4 years. It just shows you how rough Nebraska football has been, but they'll take 4-3. And I don't know, can anybody not look away? I mean, one side of the ball comes out there and you're like, man, I can't wait for this. This is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side comes out and you're like, I don't think you can look away when Nebraska plays offense nowadays, because you have no idea what's going to happen. No. It is play to play. But they ran 56 plays against Northwestern, and all 56 you went,
an adventure,
except for one. And that ended up in a very beautiful touchdown pass from Heinrich Harburg
out of the shadows,
Malachi Coleman. But you cannot look away. But fun is the theme. That of everything that was said after the game on Saturday, that struck me. And granted, it's most of those guys are on one side of the ball. I can't remember a Nebraska football program this late in the year, still 5 games to go, that more people have said, this is fun.
Mm-hmm.
This is fun. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have fun despite an offense that is like driving a clutch. And then all of a sudden you find that you got the right timing with your feet. And all of a sudden the car's like, whoop. And then you get to the stoplight and you don't know how to adjust the feet. And then driving that clutch, it goes, and it just stops. And so you have to start it up again. Yeah. And then you have to figure out, okay, do I have to have everything pushed in when I start the car up again? That's kind of what Nebraska.
And why the hell do automatic as opposed to manual? Yeah.
All right. Purdue is on tap this weekend. Do I say on Monday, don't overthink it? Nebraska's next 2 are combined 1-7 in the Big Ten. Yeah, we'll save that for later in the week. All right, coming up a little bit later, Jacob Bigelow will stop by. We're 2 weeks from the start of the college basketball season. Hello. Also, Amy Just, who had like many of us, a busy Saturday from football to volleyball. 9,198 people found their way into the Devaney Center. And probably this morning, there will be 20,000 others that tell you they were there. Incredible atmosphere, incredible showcase for the sport. Incredible that those two teams could meet 2 other times. And how many have not only booked their room to go to Detroit after Christmas, have booked their room in Tampa for the Final Four in volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad it's not like within driving distance. But would anybody be surprised if Nebraska and Wisconsin found their way to a matchup in Tampa again? It was great. It was fantastic for the sport, great for the state. Just reminds you again, that head coach, the ladies in his program, that entire program, they are an absolute rock star. They give you mid-90s Nebraska football vibe in terms of what they do to the feeling of a fan base and how they are treated.
Yep. It's a very, very good comparison, because the one thing that I think we can all remember as Nebraska football fans during that time, and you almost sort of took it for granted, but there was more than taking it for granted. You just expected. You expected in the biggest stage against the very, very best that your team would be there, that they would outperform at some level to the point that it'd make a difference on the scoreboard. You just expected that. Even if the matchup itself, like the volleyball matchup, where there was going to be some size advantage, the way that they go about Wisconsin, it is with just how physical they are, you just believed in John Cook and this team that they would have the answers, that they'd be able to play their strength, and their strength would be the difference in a matchup like that. Might look different in Madison. We'll see. But again, what will you expect when they go to Madison, right? You will expect Nebraska, at the very least, to push that thing into 5 sets and be there at the end. I miss that feeling.
All right. You got the lineup brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Nebraska volleyball made 44 errors and still 1-5 against Wisconsin. That's an impressive number. All right. We will get into the weekend in college football. That did include the Iowa-Minnesota, just craziness. Now all of a sudden Minnesota looks really good.
Yeah.
Whatever transpires over the next 5 games, man, that Minnesota loss on opening night for Nebraska is going to sting. It is going to sting. Plus the night in the NFL last night, again, if you missed it, if you went to bed early, Philadelphia defeated Miami physically. They just hammered the Dolphins.
His unis are beautiful.
Oh,
Kelly Greens.
Kelly Green.
Kelly Greens.
Oh, man, you had to adjust the tint on your TV if you still do. If you watch the Colts and Browns and then all of a sudden watch the Eagles and the Dolphins play last night. Plus, this could be a huge day in baseball. This could be the best day of playoff baseball. The Phillies are trying to close out the Diamondbacks, and we get a Game 7
figures
in the road series between the Rangers and the Astros, where, Jimmy, 2019.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been saying all last week.
Nats
and after
won the
Friday,
World Series against the Astros.
all road teams.
And Max Scherzer was on the mound, Game 7, 2019. Sorry, David, diehard Nats fan, but you still got your ring.
I just say, if you're going to lose, get it over with quickly, and I'll go to bed early and not waste my time.
Max gets it tonight. Even with Max
either win the damn game or just get blown out.
So would you prefer it be the afternoon game?
Wait a minute.
Oh, always.
Hold on here. You're a bad fan.
I don't want drama. Just win the game.
Or you're going to go to bed? This is your season.
If they fall behind something like 8-1, I'm not going to waste my time with that.
No.
Wow.
I already have anger issues. The last thing I need to do is watch a blowout loss. So if you're going to win, get it done.
Wow. So if it's like 2-2 in like the 8th?
I said if you're going to lose, you get
I know, but
if it's 2-2,
you're making it sound like you got to. If they win, it's got to like be comfortable and early on.
No, they just got to win.
You know this will not be a blowout.
No.
There's too much intensity, and these two teams don't like each other. And you got the Houston fans, who I love that they booed Garcia last night, and he ate it up after the grand slam in the ninth. Today's going to be a great day of baseball.
Yeah,
great. That'd be the best day of playoff baseball. All right, 6:38 off and running. You got the lineup. You can always join us if you weren't able to chime in on Big Red Overreaction, which we had quite an array of callers. A lot of people were inebriated earlier than I thought they might be.
It was a beautiful day.
Well, they're getting primed for the volleyball game.
Yeah. 951-1620. That is the 42 degree, the source hotline. You can always email us into the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. Gary at 1620thezone.com.
Handley at 1620thezone.com.
Or on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620.
At Nick Handley 1620.
Right, we're off and running. The whole gang is here, all for you. Lots to discuss from Saturday in Lincoln to around the country and yesterday. Just a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on a beautiful Monday. Get out and enjoy it. The weather's going to be fantastic. And don't look at the end of the week when the high school football playoffs begin around here. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
Over the past few years, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected how we live our daily lives. Today, we also face a mental health pandemic that threatens our well-being as we attempt to rebuild our social networks and communities.
The pandemic has reminded us to value family, community, and our human connections. However, it has also left many of us feeling more isolated, confused, and alone, struggling to find meaning amid loss and uncertainty.
Today, 1 in 5 Americans experience emotional and mental health challenges, but many of us do not understand what we are facing or know how to ask for help.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, we understand what you are going through, and we are here to help. Our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all. We work every day to eliminate stigma, combat mental illness and substance use disorders, and advance mental health. If you or someone you love needs help, you are not alone. Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Women, were you exposed to toxic substances in the military? Then take note of the PACT Act, which expands benefits and care for all veterans once exposed to environmental hazards. For women veterans, such exposure can lead to reproductive cancers like ovarian, cervical, uterine, breast, and others. Learn more at va.gov/PACT.
Howdy, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Attention migratory bird hunters, it's time to get HIP, your new harvest information program number, that is. It's required by law and is done through the permit system on the Game and Parks website at outdoornebraska.gov. That's outdoornebraska.gov. I wish you a safe hunting season. Say it's the time of year to catch big fish in Nebraska. Zzz, bloop, and go visit a state parkland. This time of year, larger game fish are putting on the fat reserves for the upcoming cold weather season, and they're more apt to be caught. And Nebraska's 76 area state parklands, the grounds to those remain open for all kinds of outdoor recreation, including camping. So come see us. That'll wrap it up for now. Thank you for listening. I'm Greg Wagner with the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission.
It's Halloween at Genesis Health Clubs. Join with no enrollment fee, no contract, and save 31% per month every month. It may be the spookiest time of the year, but starting a new fitness routine doesn't have to be scary. Genesis Health Clubs has top-of-the-line equipment and the absolute best personal trainers, tennis professionals, and group fitness instructors to help keep you motivated and headed towards your fitness goals. Plus, relax in luxury afterwards with saunas, steam rooms, and fluffy towel service. Whatever your fitness needs, Genesis is here to help every step of the way, and there's nothing scary about that. This Halloween, join Genesis Health Clubs with no enrollment fee, no contract, and save 31% per month every single month. But hurry, this offer will end before you have a chance to count your Halloween candy. It ends on Halloween. Check off with time to spare. Join Genesis Health Clubs with no enrollment fee, no contract, and save 31% per month every single month.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, that's the theme of the show this morning. You know what?
It's fun day.
Yes.
I see what you did there.
It's fun
Good
day,
job.
guys.
Nice.
It's not Monday. It's fun day.
Nick has fun.
Yes.
You know what is?
What happens
You
when
know
the
what
Bears
also used to be fun this time of the year, because I'm hearing all of the Halloween commercials that are airing on this radio station, whether you want to go and get spooked by theater kids
Yes.
or go buy your favorite outfit. I miss the Nobbies.
Oh yeah, this is a good time to
So this- and this-
pay tribute to Nobbies.
Isn't this the first year that they have not been in Halloween? Wasn't last
I think
year?
it might be the
was
second.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it might be the second year.
Just I saw the
Yeah.
they would be on TV and they do their own commercials, and I was
Yes.
like, "This is awesome! It's that time of the year."
Uh-huh.
I miss them.
Yeah, they would trot out usually teenage kids in the various different popular Halloween costumes, and you knew that you could get at Nobby's. In fact, we used to go to Nobby's quite a bit when looking for Halloween costumes back in the day. And it was great.
Super popular. Anything moved in there over on 120?
I don't think so.
It was a huge location,
Yeah.
and I you always drive by and they'd have like the pumpkin on top of the
Mhm.
building.
Yep.
And we need a Nobby's update. Jimmy, get on that. Let's get a Nobby's update before the show is over today. What they're doing, because we miss them.
Yes, Nobby's was great,
All
especially if you were throwing, like maybe you're throwing a Halloween party and you weren't necessarily looking for masks or costumes. You could do that too
This
at
would have
Nobby's.
been the place for me to go to.
Yes.
Okay.
This was your Halloween headquarters, unofficially.
Why isn't there more discussion about the Northwestern kicker celebration? So Jack Olson, the kicker for Northwestern, if you were playing fantasy football, he got you 3 field goals.
Pretty good.
But did you guys see what their celebration was after he kicks a field goal?
He loves his agriculture.
Yeah, it's like a milking thing. But first, it took me a while to figure out what he was actually doing, though. But it was like wasn't it kind of like a milking gesture? Type
No,
thing?
well, so
like John
he does.
Lovitz and City Slickers.
So after he kicked the field goal, he puts his thumbs down, and
I'm like-
I don't know if it's his buddy. I don't know if that guy was the long snapper or whatever. Comes over and starts like milking his thumbs
it's the
like he
udder.
is the udder.
The udder of the
Yes.
udder. The udder. Yes. The udder.
Yes.
It has to be warm.
Poll question: is that a great celebration or is that offensive?
I think it's great.
Is it? I just want to go all in on this.
Been better if it was Iowa.
Is it some meaning towards the Northwestern administration regarding Pat Fitzgerald? I thought this would get more run.
Glad you went there.
I guess
I can't make the connection there. I'm
had
trying
a-
to, though.
And I caught it more when I did a little rewatch of his celebration, but no one has brought this up. But if you go back, watch the Northwestern kicker. So he kicks the field goal, he goes thumbs down, and one of his teammates comes up and starts milking his thumbs. I don't know if you know this, Nick, or
Someone had
Jimmy.
screenshotted that. That's how I saw it.
You can milk a cat. I don't know you can milk a thumbs.
I have nipples, Gary. Could you milk me?
And you can Friday at Hy-Vee.
I'm trying to make the connection
not
to the
super interested
to
in
the
that.
administration, to the athletic director and president, and the handling of Pat Fitzgerald.
Maybe that is
Oh,
AD president Pat Fitzgerald's going to milk you out of all your
Oh,
money.
there you go. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Milking milking every cent out of that remaining owed money. Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right. Tristan Alvano, it's on you now. When you bang another 47-yard field goal against Purdue, I would like to see some type of celebration. It would make more sense probably for Nebraska being an egg state.
Yes, I would think Iowa, who's takes pride in special teams, you would have something like that. America needs farmers. So yeah, Northwestern. That's maybe a little off brand.
Do we know if Jack Olson is an egg major?
See, that's what I
wonder. Because where would you
All
come up with
let's
that
see.
idea?
We're gonna
maybe looking at
It's
grad
actually
schools.
it's kind of creative, kind of unorthodox, But you
Much
got to do
like
it.
them.
You got to milk the cow 3 times.
Yep.
I think that's uncomfortable for a cow if they're milked 3 times in a day, right?
Oh, they're gonna be
It
sore.
Sure would hurt the hell out of
You're
me.
really gonna be sore.
All right. Speaking of Iowa, first of all, after seeing enjoyment of 18 to 22-year-olds over bronzed pig, really is heartwarming.
It is.
I think they should go back to having a live pig. Like, wouldn't it have been
Agreed.
better when Minnesota beats Iowa, they upset the Hawkeyes, they sprint across the field, and there is a pig that is tied up, and so they untie the pig, and either they pick the pig up, the live pig, or they walk it back across the field? Wouldn't that be better than the bronze pig? But just the pure joy that you see in young men that are 18 to 22 when they go to get a statue, I don't think we can replicate that. But I'm curious this morning, because we have a lot of Iowa fans that are listening, and certainly has thrown an interesting twist into the Big Ten West, where all of a sudden Minnesota and Wisconsin could be tied next Saturday. Tied and Minnesota, Wisconsin play at the end of the year, and Minnesota would already have a tiebreaker over Iowa and Nebraska.
Yep.
But are Iowa fans more angry with the call that took the Cooper DeJean punt return off the board, or are they more angry at the family? Because that family is stunning the growth of Iowa football. And I'm talking about Kirk and Brian.
Now, and I was actually hanging with both Iowa and Minnesota fans on Saturday.
Was there a pig
that was
involved?
fun. There was actually. There was a bronze pig that one of my good buddies from
Gotta be a real pig.
Minnetonka, Andy, as you said, everyone who knows someone from Minnesota is from Minnetonka. His wife is from Cedar Rapids, so they're a house divided. Iowa Minnesota fans, so they actually were able to find online like a bronze statue of Floyd, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, so they actually since they were going to watch the game at our place while watching the Nebraska game as well, they brought the pig.
You let Reese play with it?
Reese liked it. He thought it was pretty cool, actually. So what I know that the Iowa side of it, at least from my vantage point, was upset with the call because I think you've leaned into how bad this Iowa offense truly is, that you just find a way. I mean, kind of like Nebraska at this point. You just, however you can win, you win. And then you hope that changes are going to be made at some point in the offseason.
You
so
think? Man, no, I wouldn't go all there.
Oh yeah, that's the hope.
That's the hope. But
that's what the Iowa fans, I think, are.
There's anything that says there'll be a change in the offseason.
Well, I think the Iowa fans are a little reluctant that to have confidence that will actually happen.
Arkansas fires their OC yesterday.
Yep.
Iowa has similar offensive problems.
Yeah.
Just a comparison. I like to be fair.
Well, you know that would be the whole. We just don't make changes during the middle of the season. We wait till after the season. But anyway, so going back to the actual punt return itself, and I remember when this first happened, I was a little confused on when Cooper DeJean actually picked up the ball, because I remember seeing his arms kind of moving, and I just sort of chalked it up to, okay, yeah, he waited for a fair catch. Then when he returns it, then I thought, oh, I must have missed that because they would have blown it dead. So clearly my eyes deceived me on that one. And we were just kind of just dumbfounded, like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. This is how Iowa is going to win the football game, because there's no way Minnesota, even with the time left, is going to go down and be able to put themselves in position to win. So then it gets obviously called back, and you realize, because remember at first on the replay, people are wondering, oh, did he step out of bounds?
Yeah.
And everybody thought that's what it was. They're like, well, clearly he didn't. So then you're thinking, why the hell is this taking so long? And then you realize, oh, wait. So it's the arm movement. And then by the rule, okay, that was apparently the correct call, which I think a lot of people were maybe unfamiliar with as far as the side-to-side movement. And it sucks for Cooper DeJean, because that was a hell of a return, by the way. But then I think you kind of go back to something you brought up, and something that I think, looking at the remaining stretch of games that Iowa had going into that Minnesota game, and saying, God, there is a really good path they get to 11. You probably wouldn't go all in on that. And I think most Iowa fans, and probably college football fans alike, wouldn't go all in on that, because when you have a side of the football that is so dreadfully awful, kind of like what happened on Saturday, it's going to bite you in the ass at some point.
So that's why I keep saying, you can play ugly football on one side of the ball and still find a way to have imperfect wins.
Yep.
But there is the enemy, and it's going to get you. That's Nebraska in the first year. I'm okay. If we're further down the road like Iowa is, then I'm angry. I am irate that this continues to happen, because they are stunting the growth of Iowa football. They put so much on the plate of the defense and special teams. But here's the thing about that play. So, Nick, aren't we talking about essentially the letter of the law and the spirit of the law?
Yeah.
And in this case, the rule?
Yes.
Because if you watch it in real time, it looks clean.
Yeah.
It's the simple wave, get away, get away.
Mm-hmm.
They went back and on replay broke this down like the Zapruder film. So you have frame by frame
back and to the left.
That, okay, was there a movement above the shoulder?
Yeah.
And then did the wave off stop the Minnesota player from coming over to cover it? So I get you want to be angry. In real time, it doesn't appear to be that way. You want to throw trash on the field, that's fine. But I'm telling you, Y'all are throwing trash at the wrong place.
Yep.
You should be driving out to Finkbine or wherever the Ferences live, because I don't think Brian lives in the basement. And you should be dumping trash on their lawn. And also, you should be irate, like Nick alluded to, changes. If there are no changes in the offseason with their offense, then feel free to come on over to this side of the state and enjoy some Nebraska football and give up on your Hawkeye fandom, because that just shows that they don't care about you. Because here's what happened. Okay, they got the punt, pass, and kick kid as their quarterback, and I have a better chance throwing ambidextrous to complete a pass right now than Deacon Hill.
It's so bad.
So this is their second half possessions: punt, 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 interception.
Sound like you're kind of freestyling
Hey,
there.
I always sign off with love, live, laugh, and punt.
Yeah,
I'm expired there. There's way too many punts. 12 yards of total offense on 24 plays in the second half.
That's impressive.
The punt return getting called back didn't beat you. The just atrocious offense that has been there finally came back to bite you. And I would be more upset about our offense if I'm an Iowa fan than a call, because you didn't deserve to win that football game.
127 yards of total offense. They rushed for 11 yards. 11 yards.
A punt return to win.
Yeah, so the Brian Ferentz and the Price is Right, the yodeler, up the do. Okay, so 325 is at the top. If you hit 325, you fall over the side, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be able to last for another year. Okay, I'm going to outlast Caitlin Clark at Iowa. Oh, I still have a job. Right now, you're supposed to be at 200 on that pace.
Yeah.
Him is at 156. I love this game. Get him, Plinko.
Yeah.
Oh, Plinko's great. You never know what's going to happen.
So you could be upset at the call. I think the smart Iowa football fan, and they do exist. They do exist.
Yeah.
I'm livid at the offense, and I have been for a while. And finally, the enemy of ugly football bit you in the ass. And you lost a game to your rival, and now you've probably ruined your last chance to win something of significance in the Big Ten.
Yeah. In fact, this actually comes from
Welcome to Monday.
One of our mutual
and come on over here.
One
of
our mutual acquaintances that is involved in the high school athletic field said absolutely more disgruntled with Kirk and Bryant. Would have been more enjoyable to watch the Minnesota players run over and grab Brian Ferentz and whisk him away.
That would have been good. Game ball.
Well,
Brian Ferentz.
And so my friend that was there on Saturday, he basically summed up what I think the majority of the Iowa fans' emotions was what the hell was that? We should have won the game. And then as Minnesota is putting the finishing touches on this thing with the interception on third down, as you call the pass punt kick kid, when he throws the pick, which was inevitable. They kind of my one friend who was there, that was the Iowa fan, said it immediately went from we got screwed to this bleeping offense. And I even said, I was kind of like being the antagonizer there. I go, you still got time on the clock to win the game. And that was the other thing, is the fact that they didn't return that, but you're still on. I think they were just either shy of the 50 or they were just on the Minnesota side of the 50. You still had a short field and some decent time to work with, but it was already like the result was already in the minds of Iowa fans and anybody who watches this Iowa team, to think that they could even go 48 yards or even get in field goal range. Like, to win that football game was the most absurd thought in your mind, because that's truly how bad this offense is. That, to me, speaks maybe more volumes than anything else, is that, okay, after all of that dejection, okay, it didn't go your way. The ball is blown dead by the rule. You still have very little field to cover to get into field goal range. And even that task seems so impossible that Iowa fans, once that was waved off, they knew the game was over. You're down by 2. You have the ball basically at the 50.
Oh, yeah. Iowa fan, you deserve better. I'm just going to tell you that. You deserve better. Terry into the Equitable Bank inbox. It's going to be a fun when Iowa has a decent record, maybe wins the West, but comes up far short of the preseason total set for Brian. Kirk won't fire Brian. Let the fireworks begin. Popcorn ready to popping. You deserve better, Iowa fan. You do. You deserve better. Phil Parker deserves better.
Yep.
LeVar Woods deserves better. My Kurt and Cindy Carter, who are family friends, who have had Iowa season tickets. They live in Newton, Iowa. They've had Iowa season tickets since Bob Elliott was the head coach. That's a long time ago. You deserve better.
That's before Hayden, kids.
Than what you're getting, because you are stunting the growth of the football program.
Yeah.
I can live with that offense in the first year in Lincoln. Not comfortably. I can't live with it 4, 5, 6 years down the road.
Right.
I can't.
Especially with a
Most
sense of
people
urgency,
make
too.
changes when that happens.
I can't. But just like Chris Collinsworth, Kirk Ferentz, they share a lot alike. Nepotism is a really good thing right now.
Well, and
where's Walt Sharp? Thanks for your help.
Even the Cade McNamara, and I think you can point to the injuries that Iowa's had, and I mean the amount of tight ends that you've gone through now this year, it's incredible. But even Cade McNamara, before he got injured, it wasn't like he was lighting the world on fire either. I mean, so there were reason to believe that. Would it be to this degree of awfulness? Like, let's say if you had a healthy Cade McNamara in that situation after the punt return is called back, that maybe you have more confidence in Cade McNamara. I don't know, maybe, but who you throw into? You know, I think the whole part of why Iowa's offense is so bad, sure, there are elements to it, but these are elements to every college football team where you do have some injuries in key spots that it limits you to what you could have done. But when they were healthy-ish before, were they lighting the world on fire?
No, because they have no creativity.
Right.
All right. A month from now, guess the total between Nebraska and Iowa. What will the total be in the game? Not the line, because there could be a lot happening between now and then. Guess the total. Now, you know what Iowa is offensively. Nebraska's probably
8.5.
Probably down 2 starters additionally.
God, could we see that thing go below 30?
Yes.
Because it closed at 30.5 between Minnesota and Iowa.
Then what could the weather be that day?
It's going to be right around there.
These days will be about 80 degrees on Black Friday.
It's going to be, it could be. It's going to be right around there. I would say, God, it's hard for me to go under 30. I'll straight up say 30.5 again.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
It's going to be low. And it should be low.
All right, no low T in the first hour. This is all about fun, lots of energy on a Monday. When we come back, James Williams played 7 snaps. You grabbed your program. You're like, who in the heck is that guy? There's more than just the 2 sacks in him playing on Saturday, in my opinion. And I'll explain it to you because I think it's also a bigger picture about what this defense does and what they do with this defense. We'll get into that coming up the next hour. A little bit later, Jacob Bigelow and Amy Just join the show. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain, time-saving traffic center. We have 1 accident to report at 72nd and Hickory Street, so please be cautious if you're in that area. Along L Street, there's going to be some significant slowdowns from 96 to 83rd, and other than that, it looks like your commute this morning should be pretty smooth, even if you're running a bit late. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Romeo's Mexican Food and Pizza.
Enjoy Romeo's Grande Pizza and Taco Combo. 1 large 2-topping pizza, 4 soft-shell tacos, chips, and queso dip for only $29.99. Only at Romeo's. Carry out only.
Romeo's Mexican Food and Pizza.
Not your typical restaurant.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com.
Sports fans, Let It Fly Sports Bar is your elevated sports bar experience. Indulge in our culinary touchdown with a menu crafted to satisfy. Savory burgers, tender steaks, to our fire wings. Our world-renowned chef will leave your taste buds cheering for more. We've raised the sports bar dining experience with a new high-end design and incredible food. Whether you're a die-hard sports fan or just love the excitement, Let It Fly is your place. Host your next college game day watch party or private event right here. Elevate your game day experience at Let It Fly, located in downtown Omaha.
Hey folks, Kent Pavelka again to tell you about your local concrete experts at Everlevel Concrete Repair. Now, if you have cracked, uneven concrete, Everlevel can fix it at a fraction of the cost compared to replacement. This is no Band-Aid. Their products are built to last. It gives your concrete the durable protection it needs, and there's still time. I chose Everlevel for my driveway, and I've got peace of mind with their long-term transferable warranty. Everlevel's products and customer service are top-notch, and that's why they've been voted Best of Omaha again this year. Say it with me. Everlevel, Everlevel, Everlevel.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is $50 worth of vouchers to Le Voltaire French Restaurant for only $25. Le Voltaire Pepperwood Village is a locally owned, unpretentious French restaurant serving down-home cooking with an extensive wine list and great handcrafted cocktails for decades. Whether dining with friends, clients, or that special someone, Le Voltaire will make you feel right at home.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
When you give to United Way of the Midlands, your caring spirit helps our neighbors in need get back on their feet and builds a stronger tomorrow for the Omaha Council Bluffs Metro. Make your gift today at unitedwaymidlands.org.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Let It Fly, your elevated sports bar experience. KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620, The Zone.
I feel like you should be working out with this music.
I should.
Like I'm watching Body by Jake on ESPN when I'm 8 years old, and I'm looking at the attractive blondes that are gyrating, and I'm like,
how the day used to start.
Wow.
I think you could be, but I also
Stop
associate
watching
this
cartoons,
to
and I'm all of a sudden, mom walks in the room. What are you doing? I'm exercising.
That could be, but I'm associating this to
music sounds like
Chris Berman giving me the 80s. He's giving us some highlights right now too.
Good call.
Yeah,
good call.
Getting a little
Every
bit
Sunday
of
night with Dad.
So please do this update in Chris Berman voice.
Yes, can you?
And give me nicknames.
Yeah, and just drop some Eagles lyrics.
Tron means business. Jalen, yes, it hurts.
Eric sleeping with Bieniemy. Yeah. Always one of my favorites. Speaking of baseball, Bert be home by 11. He's not pitching tonight for the Astros or Rangers.
Okay.
Neither is Jack
Good try.
Morris or sweet music Frank Viola. Nebraska soccer claims a share of the Big Ten Conference title. They defeat Illinois 4-2 to cap off an outstanding regular season, finishing with a record of 7-1-2 in league play. They notched their 5th regular season title in program history, 11th combined championship, which includes 6 conference tournament titles. Nebraska women's basketball's Alexis Markowski named a Lisa Leslie Center of the Year watch list. Last season, Aaliyah Boston won her 4th consecutive award in that. She's not back this year in college, so it's wide open. She was pretty good. List of candidates will be narrowed to 10 late January. They'll announce the 5 finalists in late March. Before you know it. Creighton volleyball comes away with their 5th consecutive sweep. This time at Providence on Saturday. They sweep from 25-7, 25-19. The Jays are 17-4 and 8-2 in league play. The next play Villanova Friday night at 6. Omaha volleyball gets back into the win column Saturday night. They close out a 3-match week with a 3-2 win over the Tommies of St. Thomas. They're 10-11 overall, 9-2 in the Summit. Still good for first place. Just 5 games remain in the regular season. They close out October next week with a midday match against North Dakota State Saturday. That's the only match this week. In baseball, Phillies look to close out Arizona in Game 6 of the NLCS. I thought it would go that far late this afternoon. In the AL, it comes down to a Game 7. Kind of seems like it was destined for that, the way the series was built. As no home team has won in the series between the Astros and Rangers. Do it that with what you will. Last night, Houston, the road team, won 9-2. I mean, champions of baseball will have to win tonight to have a chance to even defend their title. Christian Javier, who was lights out in Game 3, starts for them tonight against Max Scherzer, who has been there before. In football, Bill Belichick gets his 300th career win yesterday as the Patriots rally to beat Buffalo 29-25. The big Sunday night showdown, the Eagles beat Tua and the Aquatic Mammals 31-17. Jalen Hurts hurt his knee and played the second half with a knee brace, but he says he'll be fine. College football, Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers is expected to miss time after suffering a grade 2 AC joint sprain in his right shoulder. But have no fear. They didn't need his help. They just needed the Big 12 refs to help them again in Houston on Saturday, win that game 31-24. Injury, and some things never change, even though they're leaving the league. The injury is not expected to be season-ending. A more accurate timetable should emerge this week. Georgia extends its streak of the number 1 ranking in the AP college football poll to 19 straight weeks. They're still disrespected. Third best in the history of the rankings. Alabama moves back into the top 10 yesterday. Bulldogs received 38 63 first place votes. Their second lowest total of the season. There, disrespect after an off week. Michigan's number 2, and Georgia's number 1 streak, which started in October 2022, is behind only Miami's streak of 21 weeks from 01 to 02. USC's 33 in a row from 03 to 05. Memories. Yeah.
We give Ohio State enough credit. Their defense is the best defense that Ryan Day has had. I think this may be the least talented team outside of Maserati Marv.
It's going to be awkward when Gus tries to get that going Saturday.
You know, and Louis Riddick has something to say about that one because he originally coined that Maserati Mitch with Mitch Trubisky.
Well, Ohio State has Marvin Harrison Jr., and you don't.
He's good.
True.
I wonder. I think Ohio State's defense is there. Now, they play in Madison on Saturday night. And they're going to go against that Wisconsin offense. Hey, Wisconsin's win against Illinois, don't overlook it. And they scored 18 in the fourth quarter when they were done. They were done to win that game. But they play Ohio State this weekend, and Minnesota, Wisconsin could be tied at the top of the West. But I don't know. Do we give Ohio State enough credit? I mean, I don't want to go too much in because I think Penn State, they spit the bit again in a big game. But maybe we need to reassess where Ohio State is at. And maybe, as I said in the open, guys, this is a weird year in football.
Yeah.
We might have to be defense is going to win championships. There's a lot better defensive teams than there are offensive teams in the game of football this year.
And this is going to be completely opposite of what you're referring to Ohio State as because of, Jim Knowles' defense. It's no joke. And I think when you've watched them play this year too, you can tell that that's definitely a major strength of this team. But if I look at the way things are sort of trending with the Michigan narrative and the Ohio State narrative, obviously that Ohio State team in 2018 was not a good defensive team. That's why Nebraska had a chance to beat them that year. I mean, that was the Dwayne Haskins team. And I think it was a little underwhelming to Ohio State standards. But remember, Michigan had it rolling. And we were all just thinking, okay, this is finally the year that Harbaugh is going to get that much needed victory over Ohio State. And not only did Ohio State beat Michigan, they whooped them in a year that it seemed like, yeah, this is a formality right now. The two teams have to play, but Michigan's going to win because that was not it just wasn't an all-inspired Ohio State team. So that game right there, and especially with Ohio State's ability to play in big games, in the big moments. And I know a lot of people would look at the Notre Dame one and say, well, they got lucky. And yeah, sure. But hey, you know what? In every season that leads to either a championship, an undefeated season, or even putting yourself in the playoff, you're going to point to a game or two where you're like, oh, we got lucky, but we found a way to win that game. I'm curious to see if Ohio State is a team that can truly match up with Michigan to where that thing is going to be down to the wire. Because there was again, going back to that year in 2018 where I thought Ohio State was finally ripe for the picking with Michigan, and then that did not happen at all. They just got smoked. So I think Ohio State, not that they're never on anyone's radar to begin with, but I think they should probably be on people's radar a little bit more than maybe what it is. And I get it. And a lot of that is a testament to Michigan and how good they've looked. But what Ohio State did on Saturday against a good Penn State team, you can't ignore that.
Again, there have been a lot of injuries to quarterbacks. There have been major red zone issues. There are better pass rushers in the college and NFL game that we every Monday we're saying, man, that defense has proved itself. It looks really good, but that offense still needs work.
Mm-hmm.
Just a weird year in football.
Yeah.
And Ohio State, Michigan, that could be two teams that are going head to head with defense. I don't know that anybody's in Michigan's tier right now. Michigan is scary, and I think if they were not already, they are going to become a likable villain. Yeah. They're all in on the NCAA, the sign stealing, that kind of stuff.
They're fighting the good fight.
They called off the dog Saturday.
They have to go and play against their rival, and their rival puts up Hitler trivia on the big board.
What the hell? By the way,
can't wait for Nebraska to go play there in a couple of weeks, and the trivia will be about Larry Nassar.
What's that?
Yeah.
I know their excuse was we'll use a third party to handle that. Okay.
This will fire up the fans. Hitler.
Like, what the F was that?
It's Michigan State. Man, when not us, but when when the Big Ten decides to do like a scandal or something that is like WTF,
they go all.
They don't like put one foot in.
No,
they put the whole damn body in.
They do a nice little head first dive in there.
Balls to the wall.
Hey,
so
by
if
the
you're
way,
headed to East Lansing, study up on who was impacted by Larry Nassar, because it might win you a free hot dog and soda at the concession stand by answering a question 90 minutes before kickoff on Sparty Vision.
Yeah. What hometown is Larry Nassar from? Because that was the
Which
question.
tower fell first?
Where is that was the question.
What treatment in prison does Larry Nassar deserve?
By the way, you were asking the question, I believe it was Friday. It would have been Friday because we learned of the Michigan sign stealing controversy. It only took game day, I want to say it was 18 minutes in, and Desmond did no such thing of trying to call for Michigan being removed from the Big Ten.
Yeah.
In fact, he said he did not know that was a rule, and everybody else in college football is doing it.
I think the only thing that's being asked to be removed from game day is Pat McAfee.
Yeah,
who is
that's
not guaranteed that he's coming back next year. Also does not read The Athletic and doesn't know anybody that reads The Athletic. So I sent him Mitch Sherman's information.
they do good work.
I think Mitch should do an interview with him.
Hey, so I don't know if you guys are into a jinx or luck or whatever. You have a horseshoe in your back pocket.
No, yeah, I'm superstitious about everything.
Got a rabbit's foot.
Do you guys want to go down speaking of a rabbit, the rabbit hole of Matt Rule has brought a terrible tradition to Nebraska. You ready?
Okay.
Before I tell you what it is, you gotta hop in. Okay. I'm not telling you where we're going, but you got to get in the car. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. I'm in.
Would you like to go through the single-digit numbers for Nebraska football this year? And how many guys have been injured?
Oh, yeah.
So let me just play this game.
Okay.
Now, before people lose their mind, I am being extremely sarcastic, but it's a really weird thing.
It's like the Madden cover.
So you are either boom or injured if you are wearing a single-digit number. Nash Hutmacher, who is Nebraska's prime all Big Ten candidate.
He's great.
Okay, wears 0. What happened to the guy that wears 1?
Injured.
What happened to the guy that wears number 2?
Great.
Made a hell of a play.
Yep.
One of the better plays you'll see all year on Northwestern's third down, where Nebraska brought 7, and Isaac Gifford warded off 2 blockers to make an open field tackle.
Yep.
All right, so 2 is fine. What about 3?
Played that same amount of snaps in Saturday's game.
What about 3?
Nick Henrich.
Hey, question here for the gallery. Did Nick Henrich play on Saturday?
He played 3 snaps. According to the PFF snap count, he played 3. I don't even remember him in there at all.
Okay.
But he played 3 officially.
It was good to have Luke Reimer back. He got injured. 5 and 6, been fine.
Yep.
7,
not playing.
He has a meal.
That high ankle sprain still is an issue, maybe.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Deshaun Singleton out. 9's been good. And then I'm going to throw another one in
Ethan
there.
Piper, because he was an honorary.
Ethan Piper would have had a single-digit number if he was not an offensive lineman. Do we have a jinx? So next year,
it's like
if a guy is like really well liked among his team and he's been a leader,
Don't vote him.
And they vote him a single digit. He's like, no, I'm good with 10. Jabari Butler, give up that number.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I was
was
69.
No, it's true.
Just curious. Another observation from the weekend here on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. So Nebraska volleyball and Wisconsin went toe to toe, and it was the beauty of the sport. I really don't think that TV does the game of collegiate volleyball justice, because if you see a match in person, you see the power and the beauty of that sport. TV, I'm glad it's on TV, and I imagine when the Big Ten Network today announces the TV ratings, they will be really, really good, and they should be. But there's another part of what Nebraska volleyball did, and they're going to be number one, and there's a lot of importance of being number one. Oh, by the way, they start 4 freshmen. This isn't just and 4 freshmen who went through the whole gauntlet on Saturday night against the other side of the net, where they played a lot of volleyball, and they're really, really good. I mean, that Wisconsin team is great. And Nebraska was resilient, and they had a late run, and they found a way to win. That's all that matters. But then after they win, and John Cook challenges the net violation, and Nebraska gets the point, and they win, and they celebrate, you were talking about his emotion. He loves the student section.
Yeah.
Okay. He loves the student section. I wish they would put the students in the front row instead of in the corner of the front row. Because again, the people that sit in the front row at Nebraska volleyball.
A lot of stoic faces.
There were.
A lot of lanyards.
Dude, I tweeted out.
I paid way more attention to that.
I might be off on this.
I paid way more attention to that this time, and you're right.
There might be protocol.
A lot of
but if I'm in
Lamar
that front row and you're playing the number one team in the country, I'm up the entire match and I'm chirping.
Yep.
Okay. That person, when Franklin or Robinson or Booth comes back to me and they're serving right next to me, man, I'm chirping. Now, I don't know if there's protocol and they tell you got to sit down. You can't do that in these seats. Whatever. But you can see that John Cook is one of us. Okay. He has a connection. I always say this. I always tell this to people when they were like, hey, what's it like covering the 3 Division I programs? And I'll say, you know what makes our job really nice is that to a man or woman, the main coaches that we deal with, from Creighton to Omaha to Nebraska, they feel like they're one of us. They're in the community. They have a family in the community. They're invested. They're not douche canoers. Okay, they're great to work with. And you don't ever get a sense that when you talk to them, they're fake.
Yeah.
Okay, if you bump into them at Hy-Vee, or you're down at Sokol, or you're in the Chai or wherever, you don't ever get the sense that the coaches that are at the 3 Division I schools, and the majority of the ones that we work with, are fake. Okay, they are one of us. They get it. But I've been very observant of John Cook this year. And I love Coach Cook. I've known Coach Cook for, well over 20 years. And I consider him a friend. And, I root for him every single day because he's one of the good ones. Does it strike you guys that he is more emotional this year than he's ever been?
We said that Saturday night.
Yeah, a little bit, because
it's pretty cool, actually.
So here, I think this is what the deal is. And deal is probably the wrong word. You're an advocate for your sport and your university. Remember, there was one time where he was not the best coach on campus. That was Bob Diaco. Just want to point that out. Not to stir up.
It's fun Monday.
Not to stir up anything, but I want to point that out.
Yeah, don't strain.
Cool. So, and there's people that have questioned where Nebraska volleyball is going because you didn't win a national championship 4 straight years.
Right.
Okay. What's going on there? And then they remind you that they have Jalen Reyes, who is an incredible recruiter, the top recruiter in volleyball, and they're rolling with these 4 freshmen that are contributors, and they got more on the way. And Nebraska volleyball isn't going to miss a beat. So then you have this kind of year where, John is invested in his sport. He is invested in the university, and he loves everything about this program and where it's at and where it's going. And also to leave it in a good spot. He's had 2 major moments this year. One, they had 92,000 people in an outdoor match that on October 23rd, people still talk about.
Yep.
Not just in this state.
Oh, it's still brought during Husker football games.
People still bring that up.
Yep.
Okay, so that's one. And then you had 9,000 people that showed up to watch a 1-versus-2 volleyball match that exceeded expectations. He has gotten very, very emotional this year. And this what I'm saying comes from a discussion Saturday night. Someone said, do you think that this is it for him? And I said, no, because John is 67, doesn't look it.
He
No,
looks
he doesn't.
great.
He does not.
He's living his best life right now. He's got, loves being here. He's got his house out in Wyoming, the family, everybody's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I said to this person when they said, hey, do you think this is it for John? He's going to walk away? And I said, no, because I think in the recruiting process, he has made some comments that he's not done. He's doing something that I think would be very difficult to do as a coach at a high profile, high pressure program. You're enjoying the moment. Most coaches, it takes them in volleyball until January, February to go, man, that was a fun year.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that we did. I think he's one of the rare coaches in that level of a program that right now is appreciating everything in the moment instead of when the season's over. Damn, we had 92,000 people in a football stadium. That hit him, and it continues to hit him. And he's just showing you the emotions. And I think it's great. And you can see his connection with his team.
Makes sense.
It's not easy to do. It is not easy to do because those coaches are under so much stress and they run the gamut of emotions and results throughout the course of a season. I think all the emotion that he's showing, and someone just tweeted at me, said, John Cook's getting soft. Now they were being sarcastic.
Yeah.
I think he's just enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do when you've had like two major things and you're going to wake up today and you're the number one program in the country in your sport.
Yeah.
Pretty damn impressive.
It is everything that John Cook has experienced this year. And you bring up how this roster is, you get contributors from people who've played a lot of volleyball like Merritt Beeson to newcomers as well. But I think the emotion, and I wonder at what point did John Cook probably have some self-reflection, because we know he's a very introspective person, and he's one of the more unique people to just sit down and visit, like just to kind of hear his thought process. I do wonder at some point if he realizes that it's not this year, but the end is near in his career, that he wants to, as they continue to put together recruiting class after recruiting class, and they have a chance to be very, very dominant for it to, he's experienced it all at this point in his career, that he has now been at peace to where how they're constructing their roster, the type of coaching tree that he has, that he's able to now. And this doesn't mean like not coach as hard as he does or start to slack on the details that have made this program a machine the way it is. But if he's now been sort of at peace with what he's been able to build, and now he feels like he owes it to himself to just kind of enjoy those moments. And, I go back to, how could you not enjoy 92,000 at Memorial Stadium? But for John Cook, again, a guy who has a background in football as well, to have those two sort of intersect with the sport that he is so passionate and been so successful as a coach about, but also a sport that he feels very strongly about and has always been a fan of, and at one point coached in football, to see that play out the way that it did with the following, I think even sort of surprised John Cook, at least in the moment of, oh my God, this is even better than what I thought it could be. And then you fast forward through each week after that, and you're watching this team sort of come together. You're watching these young players sort of fulfill a lot of the preseason hype, or a lot of what people were talking about with some of like a Harper Murray and how good they can be for you. And you're watching them develop in your program, and you're seeing things again sort of point to the direction of how special of a season this could be. And then it culminates in a unbelievable atmosphere where if there was even one little sliver of space, you're going to pack a body in there. And that thing plays out to 5 sets. It sort of, again, kind of defines this identity as a John Cook program of, even if you do have a sizable disadvantage, the things that you do every day in preparation can be the difference in a big match like that. I think there's, again, more validation to what he's doing. I think there's fulfillment and enjoyment in watching young players evolve quickly, and the changes that you've made with the roster, but also even using a little bit of the transfer portal with like a Merritt Beeson. Like, all of those things have worked out really well that I just think it's really hard not to sit back and enjoy that. And I think there are a lot of coaches that have such tunnel vision that they're on to the next one. Like you'd be on Maryland right now. I think somewhere along the line, whether it was before this season or it really hit him after the outdoor game, I think John Cook has sort of made that a point in his personality now going forward with the amount of years that he has remaining as the head coach of Nebraska volleyball, however long he wants to do it. I think he's made it a point to himself to try to enjoy what this thing is right now.
All right. Amy Just was in the Devaney Center on Saturday night. So we'll get her thoughts coming up a little bit later. Nebraska committed 44 errors, and the 4 freshmen went through the gamut, and they still won.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're just it's crazy how they won. Thank God that the back row was really, really good for Nebraska on Saturday night. All right, 7:28. Jimmy, Nick, and Gary. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, Woodhouse Buick GMC. Yeah, you know, I've been talking about Woodhouse Buick GMC for a long time now. I am 3 cars in and another one, courtesy of Woodhouse Buick GMC at 119th and I, where you can shop there first and experience the difference. They got the large indoor showroom, allows you to shop inside and all kinds of weather conditions. Boy, the end of the week, you need a vehicle. Indoors is going to be your friend. All the new and pre-owned inventory from stylish SUVs to capable trucks for you today, including, don't forget, as we enter closer to 2024, there are the 2024s that are arriving, like the GMC Sierra 2500 pickup, or right now, you can get a great deal, save up to $3,000 off MSRP on the Buick Enclave on-air all-wheel drive, adaptive cruise control, panoramic moonroof. Yes, save up to $3,000 off MSRP. You can see it in person or online. They simply have something for everyone at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com, 119th and I, or online, WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
My 6-year-old asked me this the other day, and I still don't have the answer. What is the opposite of medium?
The opposite of medium. Oh, my God.
I don't have an answer.
I'm going to Google it. I've never Googled during dumb debates, but I'm going to. I'm getting no answers.
That word does not have an opposite.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Mostly sunny Monday with a high today of 81 degrees in Omaha. Breezy with southerly winds possible up to 20 miles an hour. Mostly clear to partly cloudy late tonight, staying breezy and mild. A low overnight of 65 degrees. Gusts possible up to 30 miles an hour. Clouds move in for your Tuesday, staying breezy, 77 with a chance of showers and storms after 6 p.m. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV Newswatch 7.
This hour is powered by Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair, Nebraska on 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center, we have multiple accidents to report, starting with one on the left shoulder of the exit ramp along I-680 at I-80, so please be cautious if you're in that area. Then there's also an accident to report at 156th and Harrison, so please be cautious if you're in that area as well. Then on Dodge, there's going to be a little bit of slowdown from 94th all the way to 77. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Someone just won a beautiful new blue truck playing Trucks and Bucks 2023. So there are only 4 trucks left. Better get to a Nebraska Lottery retailer, buy a ticket, and play today. Top prize odds, 1 in 336,000.
It started in Lincoln. Now it's in Omaha. It's Muchachos. At the heart of Muchachos is family. Muchachos uses new Mexican flavors with smoked barbecue passed down from generations. This flavor sensation is called New Mexican Barbecue Fusion. Come get your eat on and nosh on slow smoked pork brisket, chicken, queso, and mac. Try the fan favorite Hatch Mac Burrito with a craft beer or margarita. Muchachos is south of the Old Market at 1285 South 13th Street, or check them out at yomuchacho.com.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
Don't want to leave the house? Too cold? Don't want to pack up the kids? Hosting a football watch party? Order Cops Pizza Delivery. In celebration of their 4-year anniversary, Cops is offering free delivery through October 31st on delivery orders of $50 when placed online. Cops has locations at 180th and Center, Shadow Lake Town Center, and 72nd and Jones. Click copspizza.com to see the menu, place your delivery order, and enter the code FREE DELIVERY. All one word in lowercase.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Union Omaha. Once again, a regular season champ. The first team to do it twice in USL League One. They enter the postseason on a 14-match winning streak, and they will be playing again on Saturday, October 28th at 4:30. You can buy tickets right now at unionomaha.com. Do not miss out on this great opportunity as they return home to Warner Park on Saturday the 28th. Buy the tickets at unionomaha.com.
O'Reilly. Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines to dissipate heat and friction and reduce wear. Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select filter for just $33.99. Limit supply. See store for details. Get Syntec only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, if you're thinking about getting the latest iPhone, check this out. With Boost Infinite, you get the latest iPhone every year and unlimited wireless for just $60 a month. Yeah, you get the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium. Then again, next year, you get the latest iPhone. Every year. Boost Infinite. Infinitely better. To learn more, pick up your phone, dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. Terms apply. After 30 gigabytes, service may be slow. Receive a comparable iPhone model each year with an acceptable trade-in every year. Requires credit qualification and 36-month phone financing agreement. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dial text message from this station's network.
The 13th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes are coming to town to take on your undefeated and 22nd ranked Omaha Mavericks hockey team on October 27th and 28th at Baxter Arena. You do not want to miss this top 25 matchup. Get your tickets now by calling the box office at 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tix. And basketball season is upon us. Get your men's and women's season tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Tweets at the show, the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620 Fun Take. John Cook and company with their freshmen, including the setter he refers to as elite, and a recruiting class on the verge of the equivalent of Osborne's 60-3 run. What it kind of felt like. I mean, it's been building with the enormous influx of talent, young talent, and not afraid to play them. I mean, they don't look like freshmen, and by now you can't really call them freshmen. They're 19 matches in. But because of the high level that they played before they ever got to Nebraska, it's been kind of a seamless transition. And to have moments on Saturday night against the number one team in the country, which you're looking across the net. I mean, Wisconsin is legit. I imagine Wisconsin will be number 2 today. They'll just switch spots between 1 and 2. But Wisconsin is an older group that has played a lot of high-level volleyball, and your freshmen did not flinch, whether it be Riley, whether it be Choi Boy, who is, as first person that John Cook pointed out, or Harper Murray, who is just, and she went through the ups and downs of trying to, beat Wisconsin and hammer things through a block. Look at who's swinging the most in the 5th set. That's a freshman. They're on the verge of something, and that's what people I think can see it. They're excited. You got all these freshmen. You got a good group of older players, and remember, they also. Lindsay Krause, and it pained me to see her on crutches, because she would have been heavily involved. She's not available, may not be available for a long time in the course of this season. So, yeah, there's They're in a really, really good spot right now. And they got a head coach who I think realizes it, and they're not satisfied. See, I look at tying this back into football. Look at how difficult it is to maintain. I watched TCU get their ass kicked this weekend. I mean, Max Duggan, you are the greatest player that's ever played at TCU because you're gone, and look what's happened.
Yeah.
That was easy money.
They could be 41-3 by Kansas State, and Kansas State said, we're going to play 2 quarterbacks against you, Will Howard and Avery Johnson, and we're still going to hammer you. They beat them 41-3. So TCU, who last year got hammered in the championship game, but made it to the championship game, Sonny, trying to sustain, maintain, they're 4-4. That's why Saturdays in college football make me appreciate the Sabans of the world even more. Yep. When you don't have your A talent or your B+ talent, and you still find a way to win football games, and you've been at the mountain, and you're still at the mountain, like you're camping out there, and people have to bring you supplies because you've been there for so long. I mean, that's impressive in college athletics or in sports in general. So I think that's what John Cook is looking at. We have maintained this beast, and we keep feeding it, and we don't want the opposite of, man, what's it like to fall back? And the next thing you know, you're number 9, number 10, number 11. They've been there before. They took a step back. Didn't want to do it again.
Well, you go back to a national championship in 2016. You're a national championship match falling short in 2018. And yet the wins are always there. You're always putting yourself in a position to host right out of the gate in the NCAA tournament. And great programs, great coaches identify. And this is what John Cook, and again, you can tie it back to, I like the comparison of just kind of looking at a program like Alabama that even with the constant changing of college football and college athletics and how you recruit and how you identify and now be able to pull in talent in different ways now other than just traditional recruiting, how have you adjusted and how have you made your program still the most attractive one? And you continue to, we know for Nick Saban, but the programs can show this as well, that they have that pipeline into the NFL. But you talk about how difficult it is to win year in and year out, and just winning in college athletics, period, at a high rate every year is extremely difficult. So establishing that type of culture, and no matter who comes into your program and who leaves your program, that is built in, is something that is so rare in college athletics. And I don't care if we're talking about any sport, period. Like, to do that long. And, you know, and Saturday night was a great example of that. You brought up Harper Murray. You know, you're watching Harper Murray, and I don't know if this is a different type of mindset for the freshmen, if they're experiencing that matchup with Wisconsin, say in Madison first and then coming to Lincoln, as opposed to Lincoln then going to Madison later. Either way, you're watching that group come together, that freshman group, more than anything, all contributing against that's an intimidating group that you look across the net from. I mean, when you see Smrek at 6'9",
She could hit 11-2.
I mean,
I remember watching her dad play in the NBA with the Lakers.
Yeah.
Mike Smrek.
It's just,
I think he had a cup of coffee with the Spurs too.
And like even like Sarah Franklin, there's intimidation there. And what was really cool to see, even in that fourth set that's kind of going back and forth, you know, you come out guns ablazing in the first, you drop 2 and 3, and then in the fourth it's kind of back and forth. Like, that's where you could kind of start to see, and I give Merritt Beeson a lot of credit too, because she was a force there down the stretch, and she was kind of a catalyst as well. But again, there's your program right there in a nutshell. You've got a Harper Murray, a freshman, a very talented freshman that is now going up against the most elite competition that they've seen all year, and she's holding her own and some. And then you've got a new addition, a captain that played big-time volleyball at Florida, and she's also one of your main contributors in a match that means the world to, you know, that whole where are we right now in the season. And so you see the new person and then the veteran all contributing at such a high level, and then everyone in between doing the dirty work, doing everything in between. Like, look, give credit to Batenhorst. You mentioned Krause's injury. Like, Batenhorst was a factor in this one too, and the beauty of it, and you pointed to this, and they mentioned in the broadcast too, and I think both coaches would say the same for them. You won that game despite not being an extremely clean game too.
All three, put on the board, all three Division I volleyball programs in the state of Nebraska will be in the NCAA tournament this year. 2 of them are guaranteed.
Yep.
The only thing unknown about Creighton is if they will host. It actually might be better if Creighton goes on the road.
No, they're like the Astros.
Yeah. All three will make the NCAA tournament this year.
Fantastic.
Omaha's got to win the postseason tournament, but right now they're in first. All right, so you brought up culture. How many people, let's be honest, honk your horn as you drive by 50th and Capitol, if when there was a play made early on Saturday, you had to grab your program and go, who is number 90 that was out there on third down and that got a sack? Don't tell me that, oh, yeah, I knew it was James Williams. You did not know who James Williams was, because James Williams on Monday and Tuesday of last week was on the scout team. James Williams was on the field in the opening series for Nebraska. He was on the field at the end of the game for Nebraska. James Williams also may not play much the rest of the year because they'd like to redshirt him. Now you know his whole story. I think that's the story of Saturday, and I think it's the story of one side of the football. He is the poster child. You brought up culture. You know what culture does? Culture unlocks potential. If you have a great culture where there's a culture of competition and there's a culture of, you know what, if you do the right thing, we got our eyeballs on you. This is a kid who, kind of showed up in the middle of the summer, bet on himself. They gave him a spot on the roster, and they're like, okay, go prove it. They also looked at him and said, okay, this might be a natural pass rusher. They haven't played a lot of football. But either Terrence Knight or Tony White or Rob Dvorak are watching this kid play. And they're like, you know what? We have all these things at our disposal to win against Northwestern. Let's use them. And so they say, this guy against an offensive line that gave up 45 pressures to Old Penn State, let's see if we've got some plays in the playbook that we can get James Williams on the field. The equipment guys were probably like, who's this guy? 90? What? And they found a way in a limited package to put him out on the field. And what does he do? He sacks the quarterback twice. And then after the game, everybody's going, who is 90? And you hear the backstory, kid from Kansas City who went to Iowa Central and then basically tried out for Nebraska football in the middle of the summer. And the defensive line coach was like, I like that guy. Tony White goes, I like that guy. Hey, would you like to walk on? He says, yeah, I'm not going to go back to junior college for another year. I'll walk on and see where my place is. Culture unlocks potential. If you have a good culture, you can find people that are maximizing. And you can also find individuals, when they're paid a lot of money with headsets on Saturdays, that unlock the right people to win with a game plan that is not all-encompassing, but it is week to week. I think of all the things that are said about Nebraska's defensive side of the football, James Williams just showed you everything that they stand for and what's going on over there, and why every single guy after the game in a 17-9 game that plays on the defensive side said, man, that was kind of fun. That's all you need to know about what they've done with that side of the football. It's pretty damn impressive.
Getting a shot and being in early, and then having it validated with a sack, and then being there at the very end too, where you could have credited him with another sack as well. The thing, and I was looking him up on Saturday.
Hey, it's okay to admit that people didn't know who he was.
I totally did.
Yeah.
And I remember
Josh Hodgson knows who he is because he saw him at Iowa Central.
Well, and so it's funny you mentioned Josh Hodgson, because on the bio, if you go to Huskers.com, and I don't know if it's been corrected since, it says, with his weight and everything, it says Iowa Western. But then it says Iowa, as it's going over his previous experience, Iowa Central. And so you're like, oh, okay. So, I mean, they don't even have that part of it right. And again, that's, those are little details. That just gives you an idea of, kind of where this guy was in the pecking order. But this is, when you think of like great companies, people who promote from within. And when you start with somebody and then they say, hey, this is one thing that we really do, we promote from within. I don't know how many times a candidate for that job is going to say, well, can I see the example of that? Can I see examples of that? And how many of them could actually point, oh, yeah, this person, this person, this person. What I love about this, and this kind of again goes back to the culture standpoint of when you have an opportunity, I think most, especially college football players, when you're on a roster that's that big, you understand that everything is up to you. I mean, basically, it's your own business. You're the one who is going to have to make yourself noticeable, and in those opportunities that you get with the scout team. Now, then it's up to the coaching staff to be able to recognize that, identify that. And as Matt Rule even said, they thought Northwestern was going to throw the ball close to 50 times, that they could use an additional pass rusher. And this would be a great opportunity to kind of I wouldn't even say reward him for what he's doing, but to use him and to see, okay, what do we have here with this guy that we're seeing every day on scout team that is playing at a high level? And when I think about the guy gets in, he's playing early, he's a part of the mix. And when you make a play, what that does to the rest of the sideline, not even just the defense too, but the offense, everybody has seen him every day in scout team. And you see that rewarded. And then you're somebody else who
unlocks potential.
Exactly.
Share that at the water cooler
It's
today.
very powerful. It's a very powerful example of being able to identify that as a coaching staff. And then he rewards you with solid play. But in turn, you're rewarding the entire program with that type of
So the other thing
culture.
of this is, can Nebraska, because that it's not just the culture and unlocking potential, which I love that phrase, is they're also well coached. I mean, you look at technique and you look at the development of a Gifford and a Butler and where they're coming. Can they get the equivalent of what they're doing on one side of the ball on the other side of the ball?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm asking you, can they?
Right now?
And why? And if they can't, why do you think they can't?
I think it's personnel right now. For this year, I'd say no.
But is Nebraska's defensive success personnel or preparation and coaching?
I think it's more preparation and coaching.
Okay, so
I don't think that, and maybe this is not necessarily fair for the offense as much as it is for the defense. Defense has had some injuries as well, but what they felt that they would have, and I think Sip wrote about this, and it made me kind of sit back for a moment and even imagine, okay, if you go into the season with, let's say Xavier Betts doesn't leave the team. He did, though, but he doesn't leave the team. Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda doesn't get hurt. Gabe Ervin, Ramir Johnson are all available. That you would hope at least would make the offense look different, but here's the great unknown, and this is why I would say you can't see that reciprocated on the other side of the football right now, is we quite frankly haven't seen Marcus Satterfield be able to work at his best with the allotment of guys that they originally had going into fall camp to what they now have right now. So for me, it is hard to really get a true feel of what Marcus Satterfield can ultimately do, what this coaching staff, because I think EJ Barthel's a good coach. Again, he's down to one true running back with experience in Anthony Grant who didn't even start, and then Emmett Johnson. Then you got wide receivers that are basically in the mix, or guys that you don't want to burn red shirts. I think Garrett McGuire is intriguing, and I think there was a great question that was brought up to him last week to Matt Rule about Garrett McGuire, about him having to go through this rash of injuries in the wide receiving room and what that could actually do for Garrett McGuire going forward when you actually do have a little bit better luck when it comes to that. So I look at this offensive staff in more of a growth phase right now. I'm not ready to say they are incapable of doing that. I just think with the personnel that they currently have right now, you can't see that. You're not going to see anything close to what you're seeing from a preparation standpoint, because quite frankly, I think they continue to run out of bodies, and you have so much like variable change when it comes to what you're putting out there week in and week out that it's really hard to expect that.
They have hit a home run with their hires on that side of the ball. Remember, Terrence Knighton. This is before you joined us. People are like, no, I don't want that guy. I want the guy at Texas A&M. How come we can't get that guy? They don't want Terrence Knighton. Terrence Knighton's worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
All right. This is I pose this again, and I mean, if you want to go back in your Rolodex, when was the last time? And it's a topic that I'm glad is not. It's been kind of squelched, black shirts and alternate uniforms. When was the last time that you looked at a Nebraska defense and you didn't for once think, man, they didn't earn those black shirts? Been a while, right?
Yeah.
That you go, yeah, those guys that are playing 11 plus, they have all earned their black shirt. Here's another thing, and Adam brings this up that I think is also important about what they've established on that side of the ball in terms of culture. There are some guys that are long in the tooth on that side of the ball that have played a lot of football at Nebraska and might be considered starters, that some weeks they might play 60 snaps. The next week they might play 10. But do you ever hear them bitching?
Nope.
Do you ever hear like they told their dad, and so their dad is in Omaha and he's spreading throughout people, hey, my son's getting screwed.
Right.
Because one week he plays a lot and the next week he doesn't? Haven't heard that.
They bought in.
They haven't?
They trust.
You haven't? You haven't heard that.
No.
That 1 week a freshman is playing more than me. Oh, and next week, I'm playing more than him. You don't hear that. Adam is spot on, and a little paraphrasing his tweet, but it's impressive. I will tell you the guy that might be, and his situation's a little bit different because he's now going to play, is Justin Evans Jenkins. Might be the quote unquote James Williams of the offensive side in a different kind of aspect of somebody who finally unlocking the potential. It's been there. Now he gets a chance to play.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Evans Jenkins is going to be a starter next year, but now he's going to have to play. Maybe that might be a reach on comparing him to James Williams, but back to James Williams. He's the poster child for what they're doing on defense. And I think that's pretty impressive for the rest of this season and beyond.
Yeah.
Because that coaches are going to come and go, but if you have that in place, that goes a long way because you know who you always say, hey, pass it down. How about the young guys that are playing? They already know that.
Yep.
They already got that ingrained in 23. So 24, 25, that's to be expected. And they're not going to be complaining when they're being pushed for playing time.
Right.
Or against Northwestern, I only play 15 snaps. But I know that next week against Purdue, I'm going to play 45. And I'm not going to complain because I'm in it for the greater good.
And all you got to do is look at the engagement of the sideline too. One of the guys I'll bring up too is Cam Lenhart. Cam Lenhart, as a freshman, went through this, huge impact and huge role early on. He gets injured, comes back, he's healthy against Illinois. He doesn't really play in that game until the second half. He's out there a lot more frequent early in this game, but again, down the stretch, didn't play all that much. You watch guys like that though on the sideline when the defense makes a big stop, they're all engaged. Whether they're playing 3 plays, they're playing 35 plays.
Yeah, Ty Robinson's a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Ty Robinson, his playing time comes and goes.
Yep.
So if he knows he's only going to be in for 10 plays, he's going to go super hard for 10 plays.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're relaying the message of, hey, this is the game plan against Northwestern.
Yeah.
This is how much you're going to be utilized. Instead of, oh, hey, you're going to play this weekend. And then you're standing over on the sidelines going, okay.
Yeah, when am I going in? When am I going in?
Basically, you have the Kobe Bretts. Kobe Bretts last year was working out with the ones. And they're like, you're going to play, you're going to play, you're going to play. They'd get to Saturday, and Kobe Bretts would have the same seat I would have. And he'd be like, what happened? I think they do a good job in communication.
They're honest.
Of telling people, hey, James Williams, you haven't played for the first 6 games. Get yourself ready because we got 9 plays that you're going to be involved in. And this is all we're asking you to go do.
They're honest, and the kids trust them.
Man, I'm telling you, of all the things we've gone through on that side of the ball and all the bull crap, this is refreshing as hell that this is happening right now, this early on in a tenure. By a side of the ball, that middle of the summer, you're going,
oh, yeah.
I don't know. That 3-3-5?
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be the 3-3-5. It's good to be in the defensive side of the hallway. All right, 7:55. A little bit later, Amy Just will join us, Jacob Bigelow as well. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Yeah, we're at Woodhouse Mazda. Now you can drive away the 2024 Mazda CX-5 with more great offers to choose from. I love mine, and I know you will too. The Mazda CX-5, it is combined with standard iActive all-wheel drive. It's got the available turbo engine. It also provides an elevated driving experience where you're going to get the balance with responsive handling, effortless acceleration. You're going to feel that when you take control of the wheel. Also, the MyDrive, it lets you customize your drive modes along various road conditions. As we get into maybe the winter months a little bit, you're going to have that peace of mind no matter where you are going. And right now, you can get into a 2024 Mazda CX-5 Turbo model and choose 0.9% APR for 36 months, 2.9% APR for 60 months, or 3.9% APR for 72 months. Stop into Woodhouse Mazda. You can catch them at 2 convenient locations, Woodhouse Mazda in Bellevue or Woodhouse Place Mazda on 144th and Giles Road. Also experience a streamlined purchasing experience at WoodhouseMazda.com or WoodhousePlaceMazda.com, where you can browse inventory and even start your deal online. So get into a 2024 Mazda CX-5 today at Woodhouse Mazda. It's a drive worth experiencing. With approved credit, tax title, and license extra when financed with Mazda Financial Services. $299 doc fee due at signing offer expires 10/31/23. See dealer for details.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One. From Minneapolis, the Vikings and 49ers take the Monday Night Football stage this week. Brock Purdy and San Francisco coming off their first loss of the season. Now they face a Minnesota team looking to build on their win last week. Join Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner and me for all the action on Monday Night Football.
If it's the NFL, it's on 1620 The Zone.
No matter how dark it gets, there's always a sunrise, a warm bed, a warm meal, and hope. Sienna Francis House serves hope to those experiencing homelessness and addiction. Every day, we provide more than 1,000 meals and serve nearly 500 guests in our emergency shelter, Miracles Recovery Program, and supportive housing apartments, and help our guests navigate a path to permanent housing. Learn more at siennafrancis.org.
Each home game Friday, Hy-Vee hosts the Big Red Breakfast Buffet on 1620 The Zone. Join the unauthorized Big Red Breakfast Show live from 6 to 10 with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley, and enjoy breakfast from Hy-Vee Market Grill, featuring all your favorite breakfast food. This buffet is sure to make your day. A one-trip buffet is just $12 or all you can eat for only $15. Buffet includes scrambled eggs, party potatoes, bacon, sausage, biscuits and gravy, and assorted pastries. It's the unauthorized Big Red Breakfast at Hy-Vee Home Game Fridays on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Brianna, look at you, graduating already.
Yeah, knocked out my gen eds in 2 years at MCC.
And now you're off to
Finish my 4-year degree at the university.
That was fast. I'll bet your mom
Loves that. We saved thousands in tuition.
Now that's smart.
That's Metropolitan Community College.
Knock out your gen eds in 2 years before transferring to a 4-year university. Get started at mccneb.edu/me. Classes start December 2nd.
This is me at MCC.
Hi, this is Kathy Kenoyer. 'Tis the season at Glass House Market within Kenoyer Garden Center. We'd like to invite you to come shop our stunning holiday market, where you'll find a perfect gift for that special someone or the Christmas decor you've been wanting. Join our family for this year's open house, November 4th and 5th, to help us celebrate the holiday season. Glass House Market, located within Kenoyer Garden Center on 66th Street between Cornhusker and Highway 370 in Papillion. Open daily 10 to 6.
Kenoyer Garden Center, everybody's got a green thumb.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, to wrap up this hour, I know people are enjoying our conversation about the culture stuff on the side of the ball with James Williams. We'll get to the offense because I don't know what the answer is. I don't think it's number 7 over on the sidelines. But tonight we do have Monday Night Football. We have the Niners and the Vikings. Niners 7-point favorite. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. Yeah.
We'll be watching.
After last week,
we got a doubleheader of baseball, so somehow sneak in from U.S. Bank Stadium in downtown Minneapolis, the Niners and the Vikings.
McCaffrey's going to play.
Yeah, right. Sounds like the old CMC going to play.
Yes. So Deebo Samuel's out for a couple of games, but
Trent
McCaffrey's
Williams
going to
out.
play. So Trent Williams is out as well. That's official. That line actually was 6.5, and then when CMC was good to go, practice yesterday, that went up to 7. You know, the Vikings. So the Vikings can't run the ball. They don't have Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins struggles on Monday night.
Man.
They're in danger of starting at home 0-4. They turn the ball over against a team that likes to take the ball away.
Timberwolves should be okay this year.
Any hope? Any hope?
Slight hope, but after the way the 49ers stunk it up last Sunday, they're going to play a lot better. They'll cover. They'll win.
Even in the win against
Their
Chicago,
defense will be lights out.
which was a game that nobody wanted to win. Somebody unfortunately had to win. Yeah, the Vikings without Justin Jefferson, that thing looks a lot different. And not having That type of big play capability right there. And Addison's going to be great. I think he's one of those players that is going to be very good, and he is going to thrive next to Justin Jefferson. But putting all that big play capability on him, no. And you also look at.
Don't we have Eli Payton?
Yes, we do.
So we get him.
Hey,
yeah.
yes. So that'll at least be entertaining for sure. So yeah, I that's a bit, especially on the road there, but pause a little. This goes just fine tonight.
All right, you hear that game coming up at 7 tonight. You'll hear more of us a little bit later. Jacob Bigelow and Amy Just will join the program. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, DJ's Dugout is the perfect place to watch all of the football. I mean, all of it, whether it's tonight's game between the Niners and the Vikes, or you're thinking about some Saturday football, college football, Nebraska, Purdue at 2:30. Your Sunday slate is always there at DJ's Dugout with 7 metro area locations. There's not a bad seat in the house. There's one in your neighborhood. You can gather with family and friends. All fan bases are welcome, of course, and DJs can accommodate large groups, has party rooms as well. Enjoy daily food and drink specials, and make sure you get out to DJ's Dugout to watch everything you're looking for. DJ's Dugout, locally and Vietnam veteran-owned. Dig in at the Dugout.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have multiple accidents to report, starting with one on the left shoulder of the exit ramp along I-680 at I-80, so please be cautious if you're in that area. Then there's also an accident to report at 156th and Harrison, so please be cautious if you're in that area as well. Then on Dodge, there's going to be a little bit of slowdown from 94th all the way to 77. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Nanfito Heating and Cooling.
Firing up your furnace? Nanfito Heating and Cooling, a Rude Pro partner, will get your furnace in working order so you aren't left in the cold with residential installation, repair, and maintenance on all brands. Call Nanfito Heating and Cooling 402-515-5050.
You know, if we know anything, it's that local matters. Local shops, local restaurants, even locally brewed beers. October is Drink Local Month. So the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild is challenging beer, seltzer, and cider drinkers like you to put your palate through its paces and drink local brews. Because seriously, Nebraska is really on the cutting edge when it comes to brewers who think outside the box. And besides, you really want to be drinking what they drink over in Iowa? Didn't think so. Click nebraska.beer to find brews near you.
Join us for the Hoodies for Hope clothing drive in support of the Salvation Army Omaha Winter Night Watch program. From now through October 25th, we're looking for donations of hoodie sweatshirts or other winter clothing items that we'll hand out this coming winter season to those experiencing homelessness. You can drop off new, unworn sweatshirts and other winter items at 2 convenient locations in town or donate online. Just go to salarmyomaha.org for all the details. That's salarmyomaha.org. Thank you for your support of the Hoodies for Hope clothing drive.
Adam and Eve is not giving you 10% off and not 20% off or even 40%. Your discount is even bigger. AdamandEve.com is giving you a whopping 50% off. But why stop there? In addition to 50% off, you also get 10 free gifts. That includes a racy item for him, a sensuous toy for her, and something we know you'll both enjoy. Ooh. And 6 extra special bonus items that are sure to rev your engine, pique your curiosity, and even blow you away. And best of all, free shipping. Always delivered in discreet packaging. So rethink your bedroom routine. Go to adamandeve.com and enter this station's exclusive code at checkout, free66, and get, you know the discount, 50% off almost any item and 10 tantalizing free gifts. That's free66. Again, free66.
Whoa, Sandra. So in less than a week, you'll have
my forklift operator certificate.
And Joseph, you're quick to
respond. Yeah, with my degree in paramedicine, I'll be a
first responder. Cool. Bella, where are you off to?
Just knocking out my gen eds before
transferring to the university. Smart way to save, Bella. Get up to speed with your me time. On campus, online, on your schedule. Get started at mccneb.edu/me. Classes start December 2nd.
This is me at MCC.
If you're the kind of person who has the attitude that when you do a job, you do it right,
Not just one time, every single time. Congratulations. You're a rare individual, the kind of individual the Langfeld family wants to pay very well to join the awesome crew at Langfeld Overhead Door. That's because the Langfeld family believes strongly in treating their employees right. You know, doing what's right, like you do on the job. Opportunities are available now. Click langfelddoors.com. That's langfelddoors.com. Equal opportunity employer.
This hour is powered by Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair, Nebraska on 1620 The Zone. Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, hour number 3, Mornings with Sharp and Handley. On this beautiful Monday. Women's sports in this state, like really, really good. I don't care if you're Division I, Division II, NAIA, junior college, whatever. This has been like a really, really good year for women's sports. I want to read this tweet because she's a great listener. It's always great to see her down at Memorial Stadium. Jennifer tweets in about Saturday night. Kelly Sheffield. When he got the yellow card on the 4th set, he basically woke us up, and we did not shut up after that. He was complaining about a double hit in a long rally, but Wisconsin got away with the same thing earlier in the rally. She's absolutely right. He's one of those guys that this is great for this rivalry.
Goes back to his face.
Yeah, he's. I heard people were, so ever since the incident with the Wisconsin volleyball team and the leaking of the pictures was out there, they travel with a police officer. So a Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin police officer was with them. He would be the one that you would see on TV that would go and stand by their bench during timeouts or was with their team.
Should have Bucky now.
So I got a little intel. There were students that were chanting about their favorite Goonies character towards Kelly Sheffield.
Oh,
they called him Sloth.
No, that's never a flattering comment. I know they say, hey, imitation is always the best form of flattery, or if you're going to be the target of a student section's chant, sometimes that means you're obviously a very important piece of that team. But come on, Sloth, man, that's a low blow.
Ed writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. He goes, I am an Iowa fan. He goes, I did not throw things on the field, even though I was at Kinnick Stadium on Saturday.
Good job.
Looked like a pretty day.
He goes, it is kind of interesting that Arkansas fired their OC and we'll still have our same OC
forever.
That'll be the.
Thanks for listening to the show. I feel for you, I guess.
That will be the. Well, we just don't make changes in the middle of the season. I don't even think Brian Ferentz. Well, he doesn't. Or I'm sorry, Kurt Ferentz. Kurt Ferentz doesn't comment on it really anymore. He's asked about it all the time. About Brian Ferentz.
The next part of the whole Arkansas thing. So there are coaches a couple of years ago that had like a really, really good year. Like Arkansas was 9-4 in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Shane Beamer it's all about like sustaining. Like you have a good year, you're Pittman, you get a big deal.
Yeah, Sam's a good dude and his seat's a little warm.
Well, you know what? That's okay. He'll be fine next year being an offensive line coach at some school.
Gee, I wonder where.
Hey, he'll be popular. If he wants to coach next year, he will be a popular offensive line coach who can recruit.
Yeah.
Now, will he stay in the South or will a team in the Midwest look at him?
Team that
I'm just saying, Sam Pittman would be a good offensive line coach. So
if he wants, red.
Yeah, if he wants to coach next year,
I'm just talking Arkansas. He wears the red. He looks good, and also wears some black.
But they screwed me in the pick'em thing. I had them covering. They're playing a backup quarterback at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
They have also. Dan Enos, I'm sure he'll send an email to the students or prepare for an interview at Michigan State. They have just wasted KJ Jefferson at Arkansas.
That looked good when I saw him last year.
That is amazing. All right, speaking of quarterbacks, let me give you a couple of nuggets. You guys like to touch my nuggets?
I like nuggets. Nuggets on a fun day.
So Sammy Mack, who will join us tomorrow, has his Monday Rewind. He has a great nugget in there. Then I'm going to steal his nugget.
Did you get his permission?
Since 2014, maybe you guys don't. I'm pose this as a little trivia question to both of you. See if you know. Has Nebraska had more 1,000-yard receivers or rushers?
Since 2014?
Since 2014.
Receivers.
Go receivers.
Yeah, 2-1.
Yeah.
Hello.
That's
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not going to happen this year. If it does, that means Nebraska's probably made it to the playoff, and they're playing for the national championship game, and now we'll get close to 1,000-yard rusher and 1,000-yard receiver. So it's not going to happen.
Playing multiple bowls.
So going back to Saturday, and this offense is what it is. It's very, very clunky. It is one step forward, 3 steps back. And I thought the offense took a little bit of a step back on Saturday. They can't go much further back, but I thought they took a little bit of a step back because they got bailed out by being lucky again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pure and simple, Nebraska putting the ball on the carpet has been lucky over the last 4 games.
Yep.
Lucky. They're not losing the ball. They're fumbling the ball. They're not losing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So the offense took a minor step back. But everybody wants to try and figure this out with 5 to go of what is the answer to this offense. Anybody want to take a stab at this? What is the answer? Is the answer number 7, or is the answer nowhere to be found with the offense?
I think the answer is nowhere to be
I'm
found.
going to go with B here. This is who they are. Just stop fumbling the ball.
It was kind of a jarring start for Heiner Carberg, but and there was a point I looked at my brother when we were watching this game. I'm like, maybe we'll see 7 a little earlier than we thought we would, and that was just because of the moment. And then you kind of step back and be like, well, Sims has had these moments too. Will he ever get a shot to maybe redeem himself? I don't know, but that was. It was just this was the most disappointing thing about the game.
Mm-hmm.
Was that we talked a lot about how does this team look from a preparation standpoint. And I think more importantly for a lot of us, and I was in this boat too, who felt that Heiner Carberg would really benefit from, first of all, what he's experienced in the first half of the season, but then also having the opportunity to sit down and do some self-scouting, coaching staff to self-scout and to kind of work around him and to put him in favorable positions. I don't think that those, like the pass right out of the gate, that was an awful pass. And you had 2 open receivers there. And his target to Thomas Fidone was open as well. But, I mean, he threw it so wildly behind him. Like there were parts of this offense, mainly in Heinrich's play, where he looked unprepared, where it looked like it was his first time out.
Well, I don't know that unprepared. I think that's unfair to him. He was prepared. I think I can only do so much.
Yeah.
I think unprepared is not the right
word.
Well,
I mean, I don't know a different way of describing some off-target, like badly off-target passes.
I don't know that you can say his pass that he underthrew on the wheel route, which was a great play call.
Yeah, it was.
Is being unprepared.
Lack of execution, then whatever. That was disappointing to see.
That's better to say.
That was disappointing to see because that's where I felt, as much as I didn't have these grand illusions of this offense all of a sudden racking up 40 points, it was in the moments that, and I think that wheel route's a perfect example, where you have Bullock who's coming wide open. It's going to be a big play, and you underthrow it so badly. You have a chance to kind of establish, hey, all right, we're going to throw on first down, and you had guys that were running open, and you just, again, the execution. Okay, I'll say that. The execution was very disappointing from Heiner Carberg. And so if there is improvements to be made, you at least, especially when the offense has something dialed up against what they're getting as far as a look defensively, and there's going to be something that's there, having that execution. Because I don't consider that a tough throw right out of the gate. I don't consider that wheel route an extremely tough throw. And so that to me was very disappointing with this offense. It never was allowed to even find any type of a rhythm because it just the execution, I'll just keep saying that then, the execution of it was not there in a game against a defense that was ripe for the picking, but also with the time that you had to get ready and prepare for that game. I expected it to look a little bit more clean.
See, I think the whole, and Harburg is what Harburg is. They need to find something to unlock. Harburg in the fourth quarter looks different in games that Nebraska wins. Would you guys agree? Looks more comfortable.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like
so. But those are the fourth quarter. He's something like 9 for 12 for 188 yards passing in the fourth quarter of Nebraska's wins.
Which is interesting because Matt
Okay,
Rule
so-
talks about him always being kind of fatigued and beat up a little bit in the fourth quarters.
So what happens in the fourth quarter that you cannot replicate in quarters 1 through 3? Because the fourth quarter is actually supposed to be the more difficult one.
Right.
But in wins, it seems like Harburg isn't all over the place. Now, we all know this. This is nothing new. Their margin for error on offense is so limited that they cannot have guys that drop footballs. They cannot have a tight end named Thomas Fedoni who does not bail out your quarterback on that one out of every 3 passes is thrown that is catchable. You can't catch. And also, I don't know why Fedoni goes backwards. He started this now in the last couple of games is when he catches the ball, he goes backwards instead of going forward.
I know exactly what you're
He's
talking
too big
about.
of a guy. He's got to go forward, okay? So they have drops, but the whole thing was off kilter. They had, if you watch like their motion, sometimes was like off. The timing on their motion was not very good. I mean, they're in a bad spot offensively because if you have 3 plays, they're going to have 1 play that's going to be like, whoa. But then there's going to be 2 plays that you're going to go, ugh. And I don't know that there's an answer for that. I think it's just, and it's not going to get any better with Billy Kemp out of the lineup. Now, Justin Evans-Jenkins will hold his own at guard. He will hold his own. So you're going to be okay there, even though I think center is his spot, but we're going up on week 8 and Ben Scott isn't being dislodged from center. Watch that in the offseason of what they do there because Justin Evans-Jenkins is going to be a starter. So I don't know that there's an answer for this offense.
I don't either.
Because 7, it'll probably come up today. Maybe. Hey, what about Jeff Sims? Well, remember, Harburg is starting, and it wasn't because Sims got pulled. It was because Sims was injured. This is not in the DNA of Matt Rule to pull quarterbacks. He pulled his quarterback at Baylor his first year because he got injured. I just don't think until, I don't know, maybe a loss that Harburg is going to get pulled. And so you have to find a way to whatever his strength is, to how funky a football he throws with his motion to these wide receivers that haven't worked extended time with him and now are on the field. You gotta figure out week to week. But I don't know what the answer is to this offense. I think it is what it is, and you just pray to the God of Bob Devaney that defense doesn't break.
Well, that and especially in like winning plays. If you have something that's going to get through the first wave, that like all of a sudden you're going up against a defense that is maybe plagued that day with bad tackling, that can lead to some big plays. Watching certain plays try to develop again, and I'm not trying to hammer on Heinrich Harburg. I expected that he'd be a little bit more clean and early on. Just plays developing, like when he was trying to get his footing and on a quarterback draw, trying to get his footing where he was just kind of I don't know what it was about the first quarter for him, but he just seemed like he was either riddled with nerves or something was going on there where he just wasn't sharp at all. And I thought a lot of the things they were trying to do were very similar to where he has had some success previously too in the quarterback run game, where it just seemed like it was slower developing. And maybe it was because he's still building some chemistry with Emmett Johnson, but there were a couple of times, and maybe this was on Emmett Johnson and not Heinrich, but he's opening up and he's showing play action, and there's Emmett Johnson's not even within like 3 yards of it. It looked kind of funky with how some of these things were developing in the first half, but mainly in the first quarter. So that to me was something that really did stand out just as far as this offense trying to get in the rhythm and how Heinrich Harburg was going to try to lead this offense coming off of the bye week. But I don't know if you can look at anything, and especially after you lose a guy like Billy Kemp, and say that this thing is like, again, this is where I almost kind of slap myself in the face mentally when I get overly judgmental about this offense and its performance on Saturday, because you continue to watch a lot of the same things when it comes to inconsistent offensive line play, when it comes to, lack of execution in the passing game, especially anything downfield. And to your point, then you see the big home run. You see off the option pass, which was a fun sequence too, which is, again, this was like that one moment that I feel we get every game where you get the complimentary football of all 3 phases. There was that example right there. It's just I think you're asking for a lot right now, and I think you're going to drive yourself absolutely insane if you expect this thing to take major steps forward. I really think that the best success this offense can have, it's also going to have to be at the hands of the opposition. They're going to have to make some mistakes as well.
Okay, so John brings up a point here, and I'm going to push back on this. He says in the Equitable Bank inbox, everyone's talking about Satterfield having nothing to work with on offense. That's fine. That doesn't explain the absolute moronic call in the first play of the game against a horrible run defense. That's a terrible coaching decision. You guys agree?
I didn't mind. I did not mind the play at all.
Okay.
I did not mind that play at all because it was there.
This is on the quarterback.
Yes.
This is on a guy who now has started 5 games of college football experience that is in the route tree a simple throw. If you watch that play develop and they saw that on film when they were prepping, that play is open. Okay? Now, Borkature on the other side of the field was wide open.
Yep.
Okay, that play had 25 to 30 yards to begin the game written all over it. It was not executed well by the quarterback. On this case, and there are plays that were run during the game that I was like when the missed field goal happened and Nebraska got the ball back at around 36 and they threw the ball on first down. I was like, okay, but he can't complete that throw. Let's run the ball. What do? They pass, and then they end up punting the football away. But that opening play, they saw that on film, and they ran that in practice. Okay, this is going to be our first play if they come out in this look. As quarterback, you got to complete that play.
Yep.
You have to complete that pass. Okay, you also need a little help from your friends because one guy can't do it on his own. But that's a play that's got to be had, and that's also part of a quarterback. And we'll be fair here. This is Satterfield realizing I got a quarterback that we're 5 games into his starting experience. So now he's played a pretty good amount of football. That the simple things like not locking on to your first read is, we got to change that. So that first play I didn't have a problem with because if it breaks, that's 30 yards, maybe more, and Nebraska's cooking, and you're like, here we go. Comes down to execution.
Well, and even his decision to go
one step forward, a couple of steps back, and don't know that there's an answer over the course of the 23 season for how to get this offense headed in the right direction or where you think they need to be if that defense one day gives up 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, because I don't mind that Nebraska every now and then tries to establish a little bit of the attempt to pass on first down. Okay, and especially if we're talking about the first drive, which is heavily scripted, things that you've worked on and that you feel you're going to be able to hit. You know the progression there too. And even his decision to go to Fedoni there, the defender was where the ball was thrown, badly behind Fedoni. If he puts that in Fedoni's stride, even with the defender closer to him than it was to Borkature, you're still probably getting a positive gain there. So again, it comes down to execution there. I don't mind that because then, again, you are establishing something early in the game of it's not all predictive offensive football by this Nebraska team that's limited. They're not afraid to throw the ball every now and then. Now, they're to the flip side, and this is where, and I know Zach has just emailed this as well, when it comes to the play calling, like later in the game, where it does seem like, hey, we can run a little bit here. We can try to take some clock off and try to establish a long drive by not putting ourselves in a unfavorable down and distance by throwing on first down, and then you have to throw on second again. It's what type of positions are you putting Heinrich Haarberger in? If you're going to go that route, if you're going to throw on first down, what type of routes are being run? What type of play is being called as opposed to ones that don't necessarily work into his strength? And then all of a sudden on 2nd and 10, you're trying to make up for that by throwing it again, and then it kind of is a snowball effect. So I'm not saying Marcus Satterfield is an elite play caller right now, but as far as that example from the first play, yeah, I don't mind that, and especially with what you can try to do on first down, as long as they are high percentage plays that you should be able to execute. I think that is another thing that you throw at the defense to make them think when it does come to Nebraska getting the football and what they're going to try to do on 1st and 2nd down and try to establish favorable down and distance.
Yeah, I know Rule said we're being aggressive. I wonder against Purdue if they will continue to be what he considers aggressive, or we need a definition of this offense being aggressive. 8:27. Quick break coming up at the top of the next hour. Jacob Bigelow stops by Amy Just as well on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, the football season is here, and right now, new customers with FanDuel. You know what? The NBA begins tomorrow night. It's America's #1 sports book, and you can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers get 3 months of NBA League Pass courtesy of FanDuel when they place a $5 bet on the NBA. That's where you can watch all the action on everything from point spreads to player props.
That's right. You get all the action getting underway. 2 games tomorrow night. And best of all, you get paid your winnings instantly. That's great. When you win, you get the cheddar right there. So don't miss your chance to get $200 in bonus bets plus 3 months of NBA League Pass. Visit FanDuel.com, use the promo code ZONE, and tip off the NBA season right. Again, use FanDuel.com/zone and get in on the action. FanDuel, the official partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in Iowa. New customer offer. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. All customer offer. $5 NBA wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See full terms for both offers at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF. NBA League Pass. Local blackout restrictions apply.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Caller 4 right now, 402-951-1620. Qualifies for 1620 The Zone's 4-quarter pick'em. It's your chance to pick 4 football games correctly against the spread to win $1,620. Call 402-951-1620. Call now to qualify with 1620 The Zone. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
You know what snap count is? It's just like so wild. Like, you know what to listen for. You have one job.
Guys are so anxious that a syllable can make you jump, because I know if I get that half-second start on the guy ahead of me, that's easier for me to either keep him from hitting my quarterback or get to the next guy so that my running back's got a bigger hole.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Mostly sunny Monday with a high today of 81 degrees in Omaha. Breezy with southerly winds possible up to 20 miles an hour. Mostly clear to partly cloudy late tonight, staying breezy and mild. A low overnight of 65 degrees. Gusts possible up to 30 miles an hour. Clouds move in for your Tuesday, staying breezy, 77, with a chance of showers and storms after 6 p.m. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center, we have multiple accidents to report, starting with one on the left shoulder of the exit ramp along I-680 at I-80, so please be cautious if you're in that area. Then there's also an accident to report at 156th and Harrison, so please be cautious if you're in that area as well. Then on Dodge, there's going to be a little bit of slowdown from 94th all the way to 77. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Reason number 87 to get your Fernando's fix during football season.
World Series? Never heard of her.
For tailgates, watch parties, or just an ordinary Saturday, get your Fernando's fix. FernandosOmaha.com.
Sure, you could go elsewhere for your health and wellness products, or better yet, why not just come to 42 Degrees? Those other places don't even come close to the wide variety and premium disposable e-juice, CBD, Delta, Kratom, glass pipes, vaporizers, and other great products. With the friendliest, most knowledgeable, and professional staff who will find the right products just for you. If you're looking for a one-stop shopping experience, look no further. 42 Degrees. By your mom's house.
Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Creighton Sports Update.
Hey, Blue Jay fans, it's volleyball and soccer season here at Creighton. So get your tickets and come out and support your Blue Jays. For tickets, go to Ticketmaster.com, gocreighton.com/tickets, or visit the office located at the Ryan Athletic Center. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Visit Sid Dillon Chevrolet, Nebraska's #1 volume Chevy dealer, to find the perfect vehicle for wherever your plans take you. Shop SidDillonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Handley at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Okay, everyone, gather around. It's time for corny jokes about passing the torch.
The team at Kirian's Welding was fused together solid.
Thanks for all the late nights and early shifts.
But double retirements mean the crew must bond with some certified new hires.
You've both gone the extra millimeter.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, if you're thinking about getting the latest iPhone, check this out. With Boost Infinite, you get the latest iPhone every year and unlimited wireless for just $60 a month. Yeah, you get the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium. Then again, next year, you get the latest iPhone. Every year. Boost Infinite. Infinitely better. To learn more, pick up your phone, dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. Terms apply. After 30 gigabytes, service may be slow. Receive a comparable iPhone model each year with an acceptable trade-in every year. Requires credit qualification and 36-month phone financing agreement. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dial text message from this station's network.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
If you're somebody that's in their 40s that goes into a college bar, are you humbled or re-energized?
Humbled. Usually, I usually feel very awkward, and I feel like I should probably leave.
All those mom jeans.
There was a time I thought I was kind of hip.
Into a college bar recently that didn't have a cover, but you had to stand in line. I mean, that really humbles you when you like look in the mirror and you go, "Why would anybody be checking my ID?" But you also feel very empowered when the person checking IDs looks in your four back and goes, "You don't need to get in line. Go in."
I feel kind of shame.
So, well, you still have that young look.
Yeah. There's a little more white, a little bit more salt on the old facial hair these days.
So
there's always some gold diggers out there.
For guys, it might be different compared to ladies that are either in their 40s or their late 20s that go back into a college bar. Overheard a conversation of a college kid that was trying to make the move on a lady who was clearly married. Her husband was not there, but she was not hiding that she was
the ring.
Yeah.
She had the anklet.
I have no idea. I did not look down. But this kid, because I overheard him trying to make moves.
Yeah.
And she was very pleasant towards him.
How was his game?
It lacked.
Okay.
I could probably give him some tips.
Maybe a little inebriation too, probably.
No, he was.
Oh, he was sober.
Perfectly sober.
Okay.
So she was very, very kind and said, "I'm married." Did not stop the young whippersnapper.
He can watch.
And then she said, "I'm out of your league."
Nice.
And he said, "Well, how old are you?" And she said, 28. And he was like, "Well, what are you doing in this bar?"
28? Yeah, 28. Come on.
I was like, you know what?
That's probably not going to reverse your fortune.
No,
when you say that.
what are you doing at this? God, what would have happened if she said I'm 38? Good Lord. 28 is
the kid
young.
probably would have cranked up his game. He's like, "Well, what are you doing in this bar? What are you doing?
Harley
you got no game. Go back home and get on the internet."
Yeah, go work on some game.
right.
There's books about that too.
Go look at your mom on OnlyFans.
Wow. Wow.
There are not a lot of fans of Lincoln Riley today after losing Caleb Williams looked miserable.
How about Kyle Whittingham again?
Hey, Caleb Williams makes losing plays. I mean, they're very, very inconsistent. I have said this from the jump. When USC came into this league and now Lincoln Riley's 0-3 against Utah. I love Utah because they have a defensive-minded coach that somehow finds a way on the offensive side of the ball to be successful, and doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. Okay? And they also, Utah can run the ball when they want to run the ball. I will marry myself to a football program if that is what your identity is that whenever you want to run the football, you can run the football. I love you long time if you can do that. I have said this for a while. With USC coming into the Big Ten, and we don't know if Lincoln Riley would be there. Hell, we may have a Big Ten next year where Lincoln Riley and Jim Harbaugh are in the NFL. But Lincoln Riley's got to figure out how to build a program from strength and conditioning, because they got beat up again, to defense. Alex Grinch, they were inconsistent again, to winning games when you have better talent.
Yeah.
Or like talent. Utah coming into the Big Ten would scare me more than USC.
Agreed. They're more Big Ten like.
Utah is closer to Michigan than USC is closer to Michigan. And Utah's style is portable week to week.
Yep.
And I
roll teams in the Big 12.
I mean, I know they had a rally late and that game got crazy, but for the most part, the game control belonged to Utah.
And a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Cam Rising.
He's going to redshirt.
Ironically, on the day that they said you were going to shut him down, Bryson Barnes and that run that he had to get them in field goal position too. Like it was impressive. And yeah, it was like Utah to me kind of feels like when David Shaw had Stanford going, they were very physical. That was always, and I kind of almost liken USC to Oregon back then, that Oregon had one kryptonite in the Pac-12. Now was when they had to play a physical style of football and they had to play it against Stanford because they were sort of the one outlier of the Pac-12 that you had to play some big boy line of scrimmage football. And Utah has taken on that look of, okay, if there was any team in the Pac-12 right now that has maybe the Big Ten blueprint or has that physicality, yeah, I think everybody would look at Utah and say, yeah, that's the team. They do. They kind of remind me of the old Stanford.
Like this weekend, like Lincoln Riley and James Franklin, I think are highly thought of in the profession. I think they're good. They're sometimes great. They have their strengths, whether it be recruiting Heisman Trophy quarterbacks, recruiting whatever. It is when you have games like USC gets upset by Utah or Penn State gets exposed once again by Ohio State and Franklin can't beat teams that he has similar talent to. His record against Ohio State and Michigan is not good for what they pay James Franklin. Is the specific tiers that we put college football coaches into is pretty wild. And there's a lot of gray area there between like elite coaches and great coaches. And then in the hall of good, not great coaches. Like James Franklin and Lincoln Riley could make a case for the middle tier and the third tier that I just mentioned.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
We do that with our quarterbacks in the NFL, but they're oddly specific tiers that when you have USC's back-to-back or you see Penn State in another big game where they don't trust their quarterback. Ohio State doesn't trust their quarterback. Who trusts their quarterback? Anybody trust their quarterback in college football this year? Is you start to go, how actually good are they?
And none of it was surprising. At least I wasn't surprised the least bit. I expected Utah to win that game.
And James Franklin, by the way, got a ringing endorsement from Gus Johnson in that broadcast. He said, not only is he good, not only is he a good coach, he's a great coach.
No, you know what? I disagree. I disagree because are Penn State fans irate today? Or they're like, yeah, that's just kind of where we're at. It's that gray area.
Yeah.
And it also is a thing about coaches that are at programs. And I know you want stability and you want to be there for a long time. Man, if I'm a college football coach, I'm not staying at a place unless I'm winning championships and they build me a statue. I'm getting out after 8 years and I'm moving on to the next job. Like James Franklin could be in danger of staying too long at State College.
Yeah.
But they're not going to fire him because they're good. And they'll also be like, hey, James, just hold on for the 12-team playoff and we can get in as a 12 seed and that's good enough.
Yep. And I think that is where I was just going to say that because if you think of, and I'll use this as an example just because we remember this very well here locally, and that was Bo Pelini. The thing with Bo is he was always giving you 9 wins a year. But the problem with Bo Pelini's run of 9 wins is you were getting into the games that mattered, and that record was not good against top 25 and top 10 teams, especially as they made the changeover from the Big 12 to the Big 10. It wasn't good. And so you were wondering, okay, have they leveled off? Is this the ceiling of a Bo Pelini coach team? And do we feel like we have the infrastructure and everything in place that you can move on from Bo and you can find a head coach that is going to take you to that next level of 9-10 win seasons, but winning the games that matter, that are you're finding yourself as a regular participant in a conference championship game. And then if you are a program that is also holding sort of a national championship appearance as one of the boxes that you would eventually like to check, do you feel confident that you have that guy? Well, now in a situation where you have to be amongst the 4 teams, it still limits that opportunity. You get to 12, and I think it changes the conversation on how some of these programs, especially like Penn State, where if, let's say, there was not an expanded playoff, let's say they did not do away with divisions, and it was always the East and West in the Big Ten, are you getting a little bit more itchy and scratchy of, okay, we are tired of being, for the most part, the 3rd best team in the Big Ten East? Sometimes we're up there, but for the most part, that's kind of where we are, and, cumulative average. Do you get a little bit more, again, maybe a little bit more open to the idea of making a change, as opposed to now where you look at what Penn State does, even if they do lose to Michigan or they do lose to Ohio State or USC, do they have a good enough coach that recruits good enough, and they have coaches in place that can develop well enough for them to be one of the last 12 teams standing? So I think it changes the conversation for a team like Penn State when it comes to James Franklin. Because I think if it was more of a limited pool of teams that make it to the college football playoff, I think maybe you are having some conversations eventually, which sounds crazy. I mean, they lost their first game of the year, and they somewhat competitive, but it's, what is it now? 1-9 is what James Franklin is against between Ohio State and Michigan. At some point, that probably does come up. Now, knowing where college football is going and knowing that you're not always going to play Ohio State and Michigan every year, I think it changes it for James Franklin.
And they were bad. They were 1 of 16 on 3rd down. Didn't trust his quarterback. Offensively, they looked, yeah, he's 4-15 against Ohio State and Michigan. He's taken $68 million of your money to be 4-15 against Ohio State and Michigan.
They are.
It's weird. It's a great, the Lincoln Rileys and the James Franklins are good, and you'd love to have them. You'd take them at your respective school, but they're in the gray area of, man, what if when we hire them, they're good and they already hit their ceiling?
Yeah.
That's a tough discussion to have when you're an athletic director or in your fan base. But here's all I needed to know. The few Penn State fans that I know were very subdued after they got beat. They weren't irate anymore. They were very subdued. I wouldn't call it apathy,
but they expected it.
I know they expected it, but they were like, okay, I guess we're on to the Indiana's coming here. Thank God. That's a weird spot to have.
Buster.
It's a weird spot to have if you've accumulated as much talent as Penn State has had. Hey, we might have to be honest here. James Franklin may not be a good head coach without Saquon Barkley.
His best. Well, let's give Trace McSorley some love too. Trace was balling out in the Big Ten championship game. No, you're right. As far as Saquon and what their program at its very best was with those guys. Yeah. Like, what is your encore? What do you do? They talk about sustainability. Guys like Aller, and kind of watching in that game and then watching him throughout the year. He's fine. I wouldn't say he's definitely not elite level quarterback. He's fine. You can win with him. I don't think you're winning because of him.
Against elite defenses, you get what you get.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that. When you have the game-changing type player, and even and I kind of joke about Trace McSorley, but I mean, at least Trace McSorley had a little bit of that sort of Johnny Manziel quality that he could improvise pretty well. At least at the college game, he could improvise. He could make some chicken salad out of chicken blank, and so there's a playmaker that you have as well. You just haven't really against defenses like that when all hell's breaking loose. You need those types of guys, and I wouldn't consider Drew Aller that guy.
All right, when we come back, Matt Rule said something about the way Nebraska won on Saturday against Northwestern that I disagree with. I think he was wrong, and I've watched more football around here, Matt Rule, than you have. Tell you why. Remember, this is fun. This is fun.
Fun day.
I'm being a little bit jokey, but he said something that I was like, yeah, you'll figure out what he's meaning when he's talking about the way they won and what it means for earlier in the year. I'm going to go back to last year. It's 8:47. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone's four-quarter pick'em returns. It's your chance to win $1,620. All you have to do is correctly pick 4 college or NFL games against the spread. Listen to qualify every weekday or enter online at 1620thezone.com. One lucky listener will be selected each week to make their picks live on air.
Awesome.
Go to 1620thezone.com for complete rules and contest details. It's four-quarter pick'em with 1620 The Zone.
Nachos Mexican Grill invites you to try its exquisite food, starting with its famous grilled chicken, slowly cooked over mesquite charcoal. Serve the way you like. Try it with different sauces, like mango habanero or the original flavor. This comes with 2 side dishes, like beans, rice, salad, and more. We have something for the steak lovers, too. Ask for the soft and juicy ribeye. Visit us at 5007 Grover Street and call to place your orders at 402-913-8146. 402-913-8146. Nachos Mexican Grill.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste, so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Home is where your health is, where your family gathers together, takes care of each other. And right there with you is Nebraska Medicine. We're proud to take care of Nebraska, to deliver everything your family needs. From immediate care to neurosurgery, it's expertise you can be confident in. With locations throughout the region and telehealth appointments from the comfort of home. Find a provider close to you at nebraskamed.com.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here with Dr. Lance Kugler of Kugler Vision. You know, it's been 5.5 years since I had my procedure done at Kugler Vision. I remember going in for the eye analysis and finding out, hey, there's something other than LASIK.
Well, I think it's important to have a full analysis of the eye so that you can make a good recommendation. A lot of the patients that we see have been told over the years, sometimes a long time ago or sometimes more recently, that there isn't an option for them. And I think that's just because they haven't had as in-depth of analysis as they need to know for sure what their options are.
And I think one of the coolest things about that entire process was how comfortable I felt. And I know as I've talked to other people who had procedures done, they said the same thing, whether it was the consultation, whether it was the day of the procedure, all of those questions were answered. And like there was genuine care for me as an individual person.
We all have the same goal. We want you to see as well as you possibly can.
Schedule an eye analysis today, 402-558-2211, or you can visit their website, kuglervision.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit, hims.com/radio.
Another season of the NBA is back, and FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, wants to help you enjoy the association that much more. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers get 3 months of NBA League Pass courtesy of FanDuel when they place a $5 bet on the NBA. So you get bonus bets back, Josh, and bonus games to watch.
Gotta love watching games, John, on NBA League Pass. Go to FanDuel.com/1620 and tip off the NBA season, right? Get $200 in bonus bets plus 3 months of NBA League Pass at FanDuel.com/1620. 21 plus and present in Iowa. New customer offer. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. All customer offer. $5 NBA wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See full terms for both offers at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF. NBA League Pass. Local blackout restrictions apply.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Well, I'm really proud of the football team. As I told them, late in the fourth quarter, the defense came over. We were up by 11. And I said, everything that happens in your life happens for a reason, prepares you for what's next. I thought our guys battled and fought, and a lot of young players came through that just really, really proud of.
It was after the 17-9 win over Northwestern. Nebraska now takes on Purdue. Purdue
don't
2-5. Tough to figure out. They blew out Illinois, stubbed their toe against Iowa, got blown out by Ohio State. They're coming off a bye week. Next 2 weeks, Purdue, Michigan State, the race to 6. That's the most important thing. Every day when you wake up after you say hello to your Devaney statue and you rub his rosy cheeks and you say thank you for Tony White being blessed and coming to Nebraska, also say, Bob Father, the most important thing is 6.
There's the drive for 325, and then there's a drive for 5 this week.
No, drive for 6. Drive for 6.
No, but 5 this week.
Nope, drive for 6. Drive for 6.
Can't get 6 without 5.
Getting to 6 in a bowl game is now enormous for Nebraska. Enormous.
And you're right about Michigan State on quit watch because they look like they weren't interested.
Yeah. Oh, they quit society as well.
Yeah.
I shouldn't laugh at that. That was horrible.
What was
But why?
Let's get you fired up.
I don't even care if it's a third party. At what point do you think that that's a good idea?
Which former gymnast should be able to castrate Larry Nassar? A,
B, C, all of the above.
One quick thing I was going to mention here, because when you're playing that rule thing, I'm looking over your shoulder. You guys see who the picture of that young man is?
I do.
So that's Lob. You see?
Can't see. Oh, okay.
That picture has been up for a while. You know who that is, right?
Is that Caleb Benny?
That is Caleb Benny.
He made a big announcement on Friday.
I called him Lob. That's his nickname. So we have in studio here, because of his father. I don't think his father put that up. We were given his I think he's like 6 or 7 years old in that picture. So it's pretty cool. And I mean, people that have listened to this radio station, kind of Caleb has grown up here and all the stories that have been shared. And so after they played they had senior night at Westside, and before they begin this run to win another state championship, he wanted to, he was going to go to Nebraska, but he made it official. And I was thinking, somebody who's got incredible football smarts and is such a great pickup on and off the field for Nebraska. And I don't care if I'm biased or not. I just know the kid, and I'm happy for him because I've seen his journey throughout his entire career. And this is a kid that, when Damon had custody of the boys, they would come and, he'd have to come in early to work. And so they would sleep out here on the couches before his ex-wife came and picked him up to go to school. I mean, so, you saw basically the kids grow up, him and Micah. But I was thinking about Caleb's commitment, and, he's the best player in the state when healthy, and he has proven that this year. He can help you out in 3 different levels or 3 different phases. He's the kind of guy, like if Caleb was not a Nebraska kid and had, dad hadn't played at Nebraska, and he was a commitment for Nebraska from like Texas, he would be one of those people that we would go, man, that's a rule pickup. Like
Yeah.
and under the radar, isn't like a 4-star, just all these metrics just blows you away.
Right.
He's just a football player. If he was like from Texas, that's what we'd be
No, you're
saying.
right. You're absolutely right. And if you like watched his film, you would see like, oh yeah, there's definitely something there. But this looks like a guy that they're really excited about. He's a multi-sport athlete, and they're going to be able to, maybe they'll cross-train him. He might play, who knows? He might be a safety, or maybe he'll be a wide receiver. We'll see. I can't wait to see what happens when he gets there. And maybe you're not geeked out like that, because I think when that first wave of recruits was coming through like last year, we started hearing about how they do identify the athlete and want to get them on campus, and then they want to build them into a college football player. And especially on the defensive side, you look at that now. Well, that makes me excited. So whether it be the quote rule guy or someone that people have had a chance to see a lot more here in the state of Nebraska, I think you'd be very upset.
Matt Rule is running the program. If Evan Cooper isn't running the defensive back room, I think it's more of a battle to get Caleb. Evan Cooper was so important in recruiting of Caleb. And I like their pitch was, we're going to do big things here. And trust me, if you put trust in me, we will take care of your son to get him where he wants to go on and off the field. And when Caleb committed, that was one of the first things that was said is, thank you for trusting me. So, I mean, I'm rooting for him because I know him and I've seen him grow up, and I thought it was really, really cool. It means a lot to the family that Caleb's going to stay and play at Nebraska. And now we'll figure out what number he's going to wear. Because, Dad wore 21.
Mm-hmm.
He wore 21. And then when he got to Westside, he's like, okay, I'm going to wear a combination of 2 and 1. Yeah. So during the winter, he wears number 2 playing for basketball. Football, he wears number 1. Well, they let him wear 21. All I know, Caleb, to stay healthy, do not ever get a single digit.
Yeah, if he's a single
number.
digit,
do 12. It's close enough,
12
but
is
you're
good.
not. Yeah.
12 is good.
All right, so I'm going to have some fun with Matt Rule here. So Rule, after the game, said earlier in the year, we don't win a game like we won on Saturday. And Nebraska's got some imperfect wins, but they're 4-3. Don't argue. Don't overthink it.
Nope. Take the win.
On. I disagree with what he said. And he probably doesn't want to say include last year, but they don't win that game last year. In my opinion, they do win that game earlier this year. Now, Minnesota had a hiccup in it, but you know why I say that he's looking at the wrong year. Last year, they don't win a game like Saturday. Something happens and Northwestern comes back and they tie the game at 17 and they win in overtime.
Yeah.
And Big Red overreaction is still on the air.
Mm-hmm.
This year, because they have the defense, they win a football game like that. But there's another part of why they are better built to win games like that, and it's not just the defense. Because if you watch the sidelines, I love body language. Watch the sidelines. They don't get super emotional. They celebrate victories, but it's not like over the top. They also don't, even in the Michigan game, it didn't look like, somebody had come in and stolen their Love Library card. Okay. And they're like, oh, dang, man, it's going to cost me $10 to replace. Or their, what is it, the N card? Whatever the
student card.
Yeah, the student card.
Does that weigh heavily on the minds of students? They get really depressed.
It does if you have a lot of money on that card. They don't ride the roller coaster. But here's another thing that I think is pretty important. And why I say last year they don't win that game. This year they do. It's a whole new bunch of coaches because they don't lose track of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And Rule has been telling that for 2 weeks now when it comes to offense. Hey, I tell those defensive guys, that's our identity. Offense, yeah. So they, again, great phrase. They don't lose track of who they are, and they're not trying to be somebody they're not in 2023. And so it gives them the ability against teams that are similar that they'll win games like that. Last year, they don't win a game like Saturday. They don't win maybe even the Illinois game last year. But this year, they're different, especially they don't ride the roller coaster with headsets that the team doesn't ride the roller coaster with them. And so they can win games when it doesn't look really good.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation because I immediately think, well, wait a minute, though. They did beat Iowa, but to what you're getting at is a game like that, meaning the offense is not looking good. Like at least in the Iowa game, you get off to a good start. You're utilizing your biggest playmaker in Trey Palmer. So that's a different comparison there. But I think the point of different voices on the headset, a lot of being pulled in different directions in a game like that where the offense is sputtering. And we saw after Scott Frost was let go and you kind of had a reshuffling, then Eric Chenander the following week is let go. You've got Bill Busch running the defense. There were some really good moments for that defense with Bill Busch. But again, everything last year from that point on, from that Oklahoma game on, was extremely wildly inconsistent. And so there were a lot of different waves of emotion, which is understandable when you are going through a coaching change and you have, interim coach and you're trying to make the most out of that. So in a game where the offense is that bad, I don't know if you're not going to, first of all, you don't have the same type of defense, but yeah, I don't, it's probably a very tall task to ask the defense to bail you out. When we first learned about this defense this year, wasn't that Minnesota game when you saw Minnesota completely go away from the pass because they kept running into a brick wall, running the footballs when you knew, woo, there is something there. And guys were flying all over the place. So yeah, had you not had the turnover, I think the mindset was starting to shift right then and there. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say you probably have let's just be real. You don't have that fumble, you win that game.
I mean, they've done a good job of unlocking guys' hearts and their intensity that they want to play. Now,
it's a consistent message,
offensive
too.
Guys want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Offensive guys just right now you don't know who's playing.
But I think to your original point, though, the consistent message all across the board, I think, is also probably helping in that fact.
Yeah. They've also alluded. Not alluded. They've been able to elude being bad on both sides of the ball and the other team coming in with them where it's just complete muck.
Yes.
That game's coming. Again, I'm curious on that game that the offense puts too much on the defense's plate and the defense just they can't do it. Whether it be this Saturday, East Lansing, Maryland, Wisconsin, Iowa. What is it? What does that look like? Does that game get out of hand, or does it stay relatively within striking distance? Because that game's going to happen. There's going to be one in the last 5. All right, Jacob Bigelow coming up here in the last hour. Amy Just as well. We'll get her thoughts on crazy Saturday for Nebraska athletics from Memorial Stadium to the Bob Devaney Sports Center. It was as loud at the Devaney Center as when Jamar Johnson hit a corner 3 against KU. Morning.
Oh, Jamar Johnson.
Mornings on Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain, time-saving traffic center. We have multiple accidents to report, starting with one on the left shoulder of the exit ramp along I-680 at I-80, so please be cautious if you're in that area. Then there's also an accident to report at 156th and Harrison, so please be cautious if you're in that area as well. Then on Dodge, there's going to be a little bit of slowdown from 94th all the way to 77th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Sometimes life throws you a curveball and you need a solution fast. A solution to help you make payroll, to save your house, to keep growing, or fund a startup, to fix a roof or other major repair. Saul's is your fast, local, confidential solution. Get the cash you need today with Saul's.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Babbel. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at babbel.com/TNC.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. And now try Babbel for free by texting TRAVEL to 64,000. Text TRAVEL to 64,000. That's TRAVEL to 64,000.
It's Halloween at Genesis Health Clubs. Join with no enrollment fee, no contract, and save 31% per month every month. It may be the spookiest time of the year, but starting a new fitness routine doesn't have to be scary. Genesis Health Clubs has top-of-the-line equipment and the absolute best personal trainers, tennis professionals, and group fitness instructors to help keep you motivated and headed towards your fitness goals. Plus, relax in luxury afterwards with saunas, steam rooms, and fluffy towel service. Whatever your fitness needs, Genesis is here to help every step of the way, and there's nothing scary about that. This Halloween, join Genesis Hope Clubs with no enrollment fee, no contract, and save 31% per month every single month. But hurry, this offer will end before you have a chance to count your Halloween candy. It ends on Halloween and won't extend. Come to Genesis and get in the best shape of your life so you can handle anything those zombies, werewolves, and vampires throw at you. Plus, get your New Year's resolutions checked off with time to spare. Join Genesis Health Clubs with no enrollment fee, no contract, and save 31% per month every single month.
Join us for the Hoodies for Hope clothing drive in support of the Salvation Army Omaha Winter Night Watch program. From now through October 25th, we're looking for donations of hoodie sweatshirts or other winter clothing items that we'll hand out this coming winter season to those experiencing homelessness. You can drop off new, unworn sweatshirts and other winter items at 2 convenient locations in town or donate online. Just go to salarmyomaha.org for all the details. That's salarmyomaha.org. Thank you for your support of the Hoodies for Hope clothing drive.
PACE, Police Athletics for Community Engagement Organization, is dedicated to preventing at-risk and disadvantaged inner-city children from becoming involved in street gangs, crime, drug use, and victimization.
Flag football for ages 8 to 14 runs through October 20th, and PACE needs sponsors to help pay for refs, jerseys, and other equipment. Go to paceomaha.org to help. And thank you for your support from PACE.
Please go to paceomaha.org to support the PACE mission. Thank you.
Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620, The Zone.
I'm going to see Fleetwood Mac tomorrow night at Steelhouse.
Nice.
That'll be a good evening.
Jacob Bigelow from Huskers Illustrated, among other things, joins us now. Good morning.
Top of the morning. Happy Monday.
Hey, can I have you do one
Fun
thing?
Monday.
Can I have you do one thing for us? Can you scoot? Can you scoot closer to the phone and bring your tone down just a moment? Because I have to ask you a question.
Yes.
There were these secret scrimmages that happened this weekend that we're not supposed to tell anybody about. We had Creighton and Iowa State played here in Omaha, and then yesterday Wichita State and Iowa played in Omaha, and Omaha went to Indian Hills to play Western Illinois, but we're not supposed to tell anybody. And then there was this thing called Utah and Nebraska playing at PBA on Saturday. Craig Smith flew his team in, and he looked around and said, "I wonder if I'll be back here as the head coach." No. So we're not supposed to say anything about these secret scrimmages, but you can say what happened with Nebraska and Utah.
So the way it was described to me was they played a 20-minute, basically a half, and then they ran some drills with some combined drills with the two teams in between, and then played another 20-minute half. So most people would say, oh, they just played a full game. But no, they called it two separate little 20-minute scrimmages. Nebraska won the first one, and then Utah won the second one. If you do the total numbers between both games, you want to say they played a whole game, then Utah won 83-81. But if you want to do it the way it's being described, Nebraska won the first scrimmage and Utah won the second scrimmage with some drills in the middle. Nebraska was missing a couple guys. They were without Ring Mast and Jawan Gary and Ramel Lloyd Jr. But from all accounts, they still held their own against the Pac-12 opponent that was picked, mid-pack. I have a lot of respect for Craig Smith and how he goes about his business. I know he's got some good post players, some big good size on his team, and some iffy guard play, but still not a bad little result. Not a bad showing for Nebraska.
Who played point guard for Nebraska?
I was told Jamarcus Lawrence started the first scrimmage. Yes.
Okay. So here, hey, Smalls, you're killing me last week in trying to break down Nebraska's film they're putting out there about who's injured. So we know Gary, we know Lloyd. The bigger concern is, and I don't know that it's a huge concern, but what do you think is the latest on Rink Mast?
That was kind of out of nowhere. I know they had an inter-squad scrimmage last week that he did not participate in, and then they put out the little hype tape where if you look in the background, you'll see him in a walking boot.
Yep.
All accounts are that he'll be ready to go for the start of the season, and it's not anything long term. But I don't have any details beyond that. I haven't I don't know what led to the injury, but I know that they put out the clips last week of him and Josiah Alec making threes, and then they had a scrimmage the next day, and he was in a boot. So I don't know what led to it.
Oh, we saw Josiah Alec at the volleyball game as well. Hey, you said like team drills and whatnot. Like, were they like combining rosters, like doing 3-man weave stuff?
No,
Okay.
if I had to guess, they were probably doing like some. I mean, I saw a few
like
of
big
these
on
up
big
close.
and guard on guard type stuff. Yeah.
No, if I had to guess, they might be doing like some late game, like scenario stuff, like set the clock to X amount of seconds, and try to defend late. One team's trying to get a shot up, one trying to defend late game. Maybe some off free throw stuff, some off inbound stuff,
situational stuff.
Just situational.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, you've been involved in these things before, and everybody's doing them now. Some are playing like exhibitions for charity. Nebraska and Colorado in the past, Nebraska, Mississippi State. Those have been kind of fun. And then, you get two opportunities. You can either do two close scrimmages or you can have two exhibition games, whatever, but it can only be two. What do you think the goal is? Two questions here. What do you think the goal is out of some of these secret scrimmages? And then how much should we read into a result or a nugget or two about a player? Because if we're going to read into them, I think Minnesota should just drop their program after what I saw happen to them against Colorado State this weekend.
I can go into detail on that one later, but I think the biggest goal, the goal is to have reps against a team that is not your own team, and to have film to keep to yourself of those reps. I think that's the biggest goal. Just to have that to yourself, and you can, look at how your team looks against another team, and see how you play. You play with rotations or whatever, and it's not out there to be broken down by the fans or the media or whatever. I think that's the biggest goal. Do we need to take a lot away from them? In the case of the ones here locally, I would say maybe, but usually I'd lean toward no. I will say, I think my biggest takeaway with Nebraska is it's impressive that they played them close without masked. And I know that like I know Utah's a big team. They got some big dudes, some good size, and not having masked, even though he's an undersized 5. I think it's still impressive that Nebraska, from what I've been told, played well, and they did what they wanted to. But that Minnesota Colorado State score, did they make sure Mark Coyle was in the building before that took place to get a look at, hey, here's what's going on and what you could have in the next 6 months if you choose?
Whoa,
But,
you're implying that Nico Medved would be in line for the Minnesota job?
You're telling me that a Minnesota grad who got into coaching as a manager at Minnesota wouldn't have interest in the job?
I know nothing. Ben Johnson appears to be a nice guy.
Nice guy. There isn't a few members of a certain coaching tree who'd all have interest in that job if it came over.
Oh, Craig Smith, Tim Miles, Fred Hoiberg. But on a serious note here,
he's revered in Minnesota.
There's a lot of people that do have an interest in the Minnesota job. Like, look at it as, hey, you're in the Twin Cities. You're in a state that produces great high school basketball talent, albeit not none of them, but a majority of them don't stay home because there's a lot of big name programs that recruit in that state. There's a lot of interest outside of the Minnesota job from, I think, fairly good coaches, which is odd considering the recent past of Minnesota basketball from Pitino to Ben Johnson's brief time there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's the sense that I get too. And I mean, you still got to recruit to a 100-plus-year-old arena with a weird-looking elevated court. But don't tell that to Minnesota. They love that place. So.
Hey, I like Williams Arena. It's not the easiest place, yes, but I have a special place in my heart for that building. So let me ask you this: which job has more upside with resources, fan base, location, Nebraska or Minnesota? The commitment to basketball.
Look, I think you swayed it with that last sentence. The commitment to basketball. I'd have to go with Minnesota.
Whoa, I thought you'd go the other way.
No, I think Minnesota. They've shown. I mean, obviously in the Big Ten, football is the cash cow, but I think PJ Fleck is gonna PJ Fleck with football, and then I think that basketball. There's a lot of pride and a lot of interest in that program up there, and I know that it's kind of odd that it's gone from Richard, and we don't have any Minnesota kids to now Ben Johnson's almost entire roster is Minnesota kids. But they've been in the bottom of the Big Ten the last couple years and appear to be headed that way again. But I think just the location and the history, and I think I don't get me wrong, Nebraska. We've heard Nebraska referred to as the sleeping giant, not a sleeping giant, but the potential and everything to go along with it. But I think just the history and location and priority of basketball gives Minnesota the edge.
So, and I want to go back to your experience with these things too, from an intensity level. Have you ever seen these things get a little sideways?
Not sideways, but they can be intense. It's trash talk. It's shitty. It's they're calling fouls. I mean it's pretty game. It's as game like as it can be in an empty arena where there's nobody but staff, players, and managers running around for sure.
All right, if we say that and it's going to be right there. There's a regional final in the Devaney Center for volleyball that's going to rank right up there amongst the best events ever. Of course, Saturday night ranks up there. Where would be, since we've gone all basketball here, and I'm recalling the memories of the Bob with Nebraska in there and sitting on the planks in the section. Your memory, what would be the top game in the Bob for men's basketball?
Top game in the Bob.
Jason DeRusso pulls down the basket on a dunk against Tennessee. Harold Miner goes off for 4,000 points.
So mine would be there's three that are up there for me. The Texas win, probably. That was kind of what year was that? Texas was what, number 2 or number 3? They were really high ranked, and it wasn't Kevin Durant, but it was the year after, I think, and that one's up there. This one, the Dylan Talley shot to beat Iowa, that one. Everything that there's a lot of backstory, obviously with RIP to Dylan, everything that's gone on since then. But the backstory too with Coach Miles, and his dad had just had heart surgery, and he was fresh out of heart surgery. And there's a great picture of his dad celebrating that shot from behind the Nebraska bench. There's a lot of cool backstory going into that one, and then there's a lot of really intense losses to Kansas that were closer than they should have been. But I think my top two would be the win over Texas and then the Dylan Talley shot to beat Iowa.
Now, I could think of a Saturday night of how loud that was and how great a moment was some of those games against KU in the 90s when Nebraska would find a way to play, whether it be a Chubbuck race down the floor and block Antoine Jameson at the rim or Jamar Johnson hits a 3 in the corner.
Yep. I know. I've heard stories of those. I mean, there were even some ones in the 2000s that where Kansas was really good and Nebraska wasn't, for lack of a better word, and they somehow played them close, and it stayed loud and into it until the end. But KU still prevailed. But I mean, that was think the highest number I saw was, 104, 105 decibel noise going on in
Yeah, at
there.
the end. I think what's the review was
Yep. And
favorable.
by all accounts, that was the loudest. People I know who have been to plenty of events in that building, that they said that's the loudest they've seen it. That was, that was an instant classic that lived up to every bit of the hype.
And you've seen, again, between the Pinnacle Bank Arena and, as you mentioned there's obviously some great basketball moments at the Bob Devaney Sports Center, too. Saturday night, Nebraska volleyball victory, as far as just events that you've seen in your lifetime watching and covering Nebraska athletics, is this a top 5 moment for sure?
It's up there for sure. I'd say so. Just everything that goes into it, the losing streak, the 1 versus 2, the hype leading into it, living up to the hype, and then the atmosphere, all that combined, I'd say it's definitely up there in the top 5. And I know, as someone who was a part of the staff for Nebraska men's basketball, and set in 18-19 when they broke a long losing streak against a rival. I know how good that can feel. So I can, on top of that and the atmosphere, I know I couldn't help but smile when that result went final on Saturday night.
Yeah, Maryland and Rutgers are going to be underwhelming this weekend.
It's going to be.
I know what's that going to be like a Maryland?
Little night and day different. Night and day different, but no, we can look forward to the rematch at the Fieldhouse in Madison. That'll be pretty intense too. I'm guessing.
Yes,
those tickets aren't going to be cheap either.
No, and it'll be the second of 3, because I think we should just pencil them in for Tampa. People are cringing right now.
Tampa in December. Yeah, people are cringing.
That's rough in December, because usually it's probably about 72, 73. The water's starting to cool down.
Oh no,
not good. The Gulf is
light jacket.
Yep.
Maybe a hoodie at night.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Be good. Thank you. We are 2 weeks away from the start of the season. How's that sound?
Nebraska plays an exhibition game this coming Sunday.
Oh, they play Doane?
They do. Doane on Sunday at 5:30 at DBA.
Hey, why are they playing at 5:30 on a Sunday?
That is an excellent question.
There's some concert in there or anything?
I don't know. I just know it's at 5:30 and it's on BTN Plus. So I don't know what the schedule looks like at PBA next week. Maybe they have to get everything out for a concert. But yeah, weird start time.
It might be the first 5:30 game ever.
It's Bears Chargers Sunday night, so that's why.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Be a good lead in.
That'll be great.
Be good, Jacob.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Jacob Bigelow. 2 weeks from today, college basketball begins.
Yeah, I'm going to nitpick for a moment on the finale, the final moment of the Nebraska-Wisconsin volleyball match. Why did it have to end on a review overturn? Like, just wanted to see something like go down with authority, like a Harper Murray or Merritt Beeson just pulverizing one.
Hey, if you win,
just putting the exclamation point. I mean, look, I'll take
your exclamation point was John Cook and a Cowboy.
That was pretty sweet. That was awesome.
When you
could legitimately see him saying, like, give me a hat, give me a hat, give me a hat. Didn't take long. But yeah, it's just sort of, you watch the review and you're like, oh, wait, they're going to win this challenge. So you already kind of knew. And then it's like, all right, it's official. As opposed to just, a big swing and just like a big, huge kaboom from JB. I didn't get that. That's the only thing I was a little bit, kind of disappointed. Very happy with the win, but wish you would have ended in like actual live play as opposed to a review. But that's just me.
I just take the win.
That's just me. Everything else was great. I had to. I know I'm saying what it was on other people's mind. Like, wish that didn't end in a review. But I'm glad the review went the right way. So you take that.
Amy Just at Lincoln Journal-Star will stop by next.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on The Crossover.
Now the question is, who's beating them? They play the Eagles in Philly.
See, I think the Eagles could win.
It's not going to be the game you expect. They'll lose to like the.
Well,
Vikings
this week
or
they
something.
play the Browns and the weather's supposed to be back. Like, how funny would it be after last week we were like, the Bills are back, and then the Bills lost?
Yeah.
Well, like, Niners are the best team ever, and then they lose like 10-6.
Oh, that was such a classic Bills.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, the Connor Happer Show, unsportsmanlike conduct, 6A to 6P, 1620, The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast, presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch, from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Mostly sunny Monday with a high today of 81 degrees in Omaha. Breezy with southerly winds possible up to 20 miles an hour. Mostly clear to partly cloudy late tonight, staying breezy and mild. A low overnight of 65 degrees. Gusts possible up to 30 miles an hour. Clouds move in for your Tuesday, staying breezy, 77 with a chance of showers and storms after 6 p.m. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV Newswatch 7.
Email any of our shows anytime into the Equitable Bank inbox. At Equitable, we take banking personally. For me, John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox from 1620 The Zone.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com.
Husker fans, are you ready to score big savings on your tickets this season? When you need to find seats at Memorial Stadium, be sure to shop the best selection without the added fees at ticketsforless.com. That's right. Tickets for Less offers transparent pricing, meaning you never pay crazy high fees at checkout. Plus, save even more when you use promo code THEZONE at checkout today at ticketsforless.com. Every seat holds a story. Find yours at ticketsforless.com. Don't forget, Tickets for Less for the best concerts and events, and save now with the code THEZONE.
Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. Come take a ride on the antique cars where the kids are the drivers. Visit our foam ball play area called the Egg Scramble. Stop by the cider mill area where you can have a drink of refreshing apple cider and taste some deliciously good barbecue at Ethan's Applewood Smokehouse. Vallis has more than 50 other attractions included with admission, along with fireworks every Friday night at 9. Vallis, the place to visit this fall.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Vallis Pumpkin Patch best of all.
Our Cox mobile plans are like a band. The more people you add, the better it sounds. So, add more lines to save more. Pay as low as $30 per line when you add 4 or more gig unlimited lines. It's easy. I like the sound of that. Visit cox.com/mobile. 4 lines required for $30 per line. Price max of 5 lines. Prices exclude taxes, device activation, and other fees and charges, which are subject to change. Cox postpaid internet required. Other restrictions apply.
O'Reilly. Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines to dissipate heat and friction and reduce wear. Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select filter for just $33.99. Limit supply. See store for details. Get Syntec only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Adam and Eve is not giving you 10% off and not 20% off or even 40%. Your discount is even bigger. AdamandEve.com is giving you a whopping 50% off. But why stop there? In addition to 50% off, you also get 10 free gifts. That includes a racy item for him, a sensuous toy for her, and something we know you'll both enjoy. Ooh. And 6 extra special bonus items that are sure to rev your engine, pique your curiosity, and even blow you away. And best of all, free shipping. Always delivered in discreet packaging. So rethink your bedroom routine. Go to adamandeve.com and enter this station's exclusive code at checkout, free 66, and get, the discount, 50% off almost any item and 10 tantalizing free gifts. That's free 66. Again, free 66.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, someone that gave you a fantastic descriptive front row seat in the Journal-Star on Sunday morning, Amy Just from the Journal-Star joins us now. Football, volleyball, and oh, by the way, we should add, You didn't cover it, but will. John Walker and women's soccer share the Big Ten title. How about that? Amy joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning. And I was there on Thursday.
You are a huge proponent of women's sports and especially soccer this year, which is a great story that I'm glad next Sunday they're going to be hosting.
I know I'm going to be disappointed I won't be able to be there, but I'll be watching it on my phone as I travel back from New Orleans.
Oh, thank you for throwing that in there.
You're welcome.
You take us with you if you'd like.
No.
Okay. All right. So as we digest and go back through the notebook and thoughts on what happened Saturday night, you're on Monday. What's the thing that you keep coming back to that stood out about Nebraska-Wisconsin volleyball before 9,198 that went the full route to 5 sets and was won in that manner?
How did they win?
Exactly. I'm totally with you. If you look at the box score, you are spot on.
Not even looking at the box score, just how Wisconsin's block was so dominant in that second set. And then in that third set, when they tried to hit around it, they kept, making hitting errors. They had 48 attack errors and they still won. I do not know how they managed to win that game. Wisconsin had match point in set 4.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know. I genuinely do not know how they won that game.
Amy, we talked about this earlier today, and that is just this roster and the impact of the freshmen, which has been well documented. But in a match like that, how big this could be for that program going forward. And even if they were to, let's say, have lost in the 5th set, to see like a Harper Murray, and you could see her confidence just sort of steamrolling as they got a little bit later in that match. She just – and she's been great all year, but just kind of watch her grow in front of our eyes in a match like that too. And then you just think about the trickle down effect of what it does for this roster. It's kind of exciting to think. I know there's still a good chunk of the regular season to play here still, but it's kind of exciting to think what this thing could do for Nebraska's postseason prospects here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you look at Lainey Choi was John's MVP of the match. You look at Bergen Riley, who struggled a little bit, but played through it and had the wherewithal to tell John Cook to challenge that last point.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Harper Murray, who did not have her best match, and she admitted that at the podium, but came alive when they needed her to. And then you have Andy Jackson, who's putting, dents in the floor when when she gets set in the middle. It's just what they're doing right now is great. And then you have Merritt Beeson and Lexi Rodriguez, who are there, kind of leading them, and it's been so fun to watch. For the people who somehow have ignored Nebraska volleyball, you're missing out.
Mm-hmm. We got to go find those people. So and I know, and John said this right away. He goes, it's the 10th match of the Big Ten season, trying not to, play along, ignoring the fact that he just come inside of a interview room of pandemonium outside. But
he was giving me grief is what that was. If you go back, he's looking straight at me, calling me out for my column in a joking manner.
So
my preview column was, John Cook says it's match 10. Really, John? Really? Yeah. And so that's what that was.
So they are number 1. They're unbeaten. They've got young players that we can't call them freshmen now because they're 19 matches in. What's the significance on the 23rd of October of Nebraska volleyball being number 1 in the country?
I think it does a lot. It's wild that they have so many young players and they're the number 1 team. But they said this though even before the season started. It's yeah, we're freshmen, but we're not your typical freshman. And we believed it at the time, of course, but it feels different now because they meant it. And just look at them right now.
If you're to kind of describe what that atmosphere is like. Look, we just saw this with volleyball and doing something that was absolutely unprecedented and something that it will, I mean, it's going to go down in the books for forever as the biggest volleyball crowd you're ever going to see. Then you couple that with the atmosphere of a more intimate Bob Devaney Sports Center in the way that this thing just felt different. I mean, seeing people, like if there was a little sliver of space, someone was standing there, someone was hanging out over the rafters. Like, I mean, you could pack as many people in there as you possibly can. And all the while, and we talked about this earlier today, all the while, John Cook, who relished that environment at Memorial Stadium, and you could see how excited and you could see how, just happy and just engaging he was after that. What do you think that kind of says to John Cook this year, and just how he's kind of gone about the success of this team, maybe compared to previous years where maybe it seems like he's taken a little bit more in stride?
Yeah, I think that, we all know, this is not a secret, that he is closer to retirement than the beginning of his career. And I'm shocking, I know. And I think that with this team, and especially with the Memorial Stadium match, I think that's where this started, was that he is allowing himself to feel it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I think that is good for him. Because the Memorial Stadium match was so unique, and I don't know how many times he cried. A lot. A lot of us cried a lot. But I just think that did something for him to where he's letting himself be present and feel the moment.
Yep.
And some people are reading into it like, oh, he's going to retire after the year. I don't think that. How do you walk away from this? I just think he's feeling it and he's letting himself enjoy it because he knows that, he may have 2, 3, 4 more years of this, maybe more, I don't know. But I think he's letting himself feel it, and I'm glad he's doing it because it's really fun to watch.
Amy Just of the Lincoln Journal-Star joining us. All right. We won't have to ask about Jeff Sims this Monday, but full disclosure, I didn't know why Nebraska offered this guy a scholarship late in the process a couple of years ago. I wasn't all enamored with him. I have changed my tune on Emmett Johnson. Do you think today we need to ask the question to Matt Rule at 11:30? Do you have a new running back one, and his name is Emmett Johnson?
Might be. I am definitely going to ask about him. Of course, going to ask about Billy and Ethan. Hate asking injury questions. Feels like that has just been a constant theme of the year. But yeah, I don't know if Emmett is, I'm not going to say ready because I think he's ready, but I don't know if he's like as durable to be your running back one and get like 30 carries every game. Like, I don't know about that, but I think he's ready for a more increased role. Like, he played great on Saturday. And as I was walking out of Hawks to go run over to Devaney, he had so many people celebrating with him, and the smile on his face could not have been bigger. I'm so happy for that kid. Like, he deserves it. Especially after last week, because that fumble wasn't entirely his fault. It was on a handoff. Like, it is what it is. But I'm just glad that he got a game like this, because that can do so much confidence for you when you're young.
Yep. He ran hard. He ran downhill. He protected the football. He has the mindset, I don't want to be a backup. Kudos to him, because he's proven me wrong. And I think, he ran the ball 12 times, Amy. Anthony Grant did come into the first quarter, only carried it 6 times, wasn't real effective. I don't know. I think maybe they got another option at running back that's not named Fleeks or Grant.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, because when the cupboard is bare, you got to make something out of what you have. And turns out this is not he's a lot better, I think, faster than we thought he was going to be.
Yeah, and on that note, Amy, I found myself doing this during the game on Saturday. I think a lot of Nebraska fans probably did as well. where you get maybe somewhat frustrated with the offense, inability to get anything going, lack of execution. But then I kind of stop and think to myself, all right, what can I really expect out of this group? And then, as you mentioned, two guys you got to ask about today, and Ethan Piper and Billy Kemp. You lose two more key contributors to that offense. What going forward at this point of the season, what can we really hold the offense accountable for, in your opinion, right now?
No stupid turnovers.
Hmm? Good luck.
Yeah, I know, but that's something no matter how experienced you are, no stupid turnovers. Like, no unforced errors, right?
Fair.
Like, if there's a strip sack, okay, that sucks, but like, sure, that is gonna happen at some point. Throwing into double coverage on your first read, nope, dumb turnover. You know, not protecting the football when you're running the ball, not having, multiple points of body contact, stupid turnover. Throwing a Hail Mary and it ends up getting picked off, not a stupid turnover. So that's, I guess, what I'm going to be looking forward for in the final stretch of the season. Just because, Nebraska's offense is not flashy. It was not going to be before all of the injuries, and it certainly is not going to be now. I just think they need to, and this sounds like a coaching cliche, but I do genuinely mean it, just score one more point than the other team, and the defense will figure it out, because that's where we're at right now.
I don't know if you're a gambling woman or not, but does the 3-point spread surprise you? That's what Nebraska is right now. Yep.
A little. But last week also surprised me too. I was like, how is Nebraska a 2-touchdown favorite over Northwestern? I'm not sure Nebraska will score 2 touchdowns, and guess what? They didn't. So I don't know, man. I do not know.
It's a huge game. I mean, I think the next, like we've been talking about this, the next 2 games are 2 more opportunities to play teams that are kind of in your neighborhood, that are on the struggle bus. I mean, Purdue is coming off a bye. We don't know what Purdue team will show up. And then Michigan State's about ready to get ready for basketball season. And that includes a football team.
Yeah,
like, man, we have season tickets.
We're looking forward to going to the Breslin Center. All right,
we have season tickets in the Izzo zone. We can't wait.
Yeah, it's just when you think Michigan State couldn't be any dumber.
Yep. Hey, they use a third party, Amy. Come on.
Do you know how dumb you have to be? I mean, if you show up to Memorial Stadium, Nebraska's Memorial Stadium, 3 hours early, you get to see every promo play through because they're testing them. How in the world, number one, does Michigan State not test their promos just to make sure they're functional? And number two, who up there has any semblance of critical thinking? Anyone? My God.
Exactly. Like who says, you know what, this is a good trivia question. Where was Hitler born?
Yeah. This will get the fans engaged.
Yeah. Come on. Hey, and you're right. The game day ops, everything that is presented on a video board or on the field is talked about during the week, and their last meeting on Fridays, every single item is gone through. Yep.
And no one thought, hey, maybe let's try something different. No one?
No.
How about Winston Churchill?
Yeah. It's well, you know what? Hey, now that we're kind of in the Big Ten, when Big Ten schools want to go like scandalous, they don't just go partially in, they go all in.
Especially Michigan State.
Yeah, cannot believe that sexual misconduct and Hitler are being said in the same sentence. It's just, what are we doing?
People that are Michigan State fans are asking the same thing, Amy. So
Hey, I would put my Sparty stuff away for the rest of the year if I was a Michigan State fan.
Hey, enjoy your trip to the Big Easy, back to the old stomping grounds.
Feels weird that I'm going to miss a football game, but you know what? When 2 of your very close friends get married and they, plan it around LSU's bye week and you're not at LSU anymore, you deal with it.
Yeah. Well, you can walk in and go, Roll Tide.
Absolutely not. Ew, Gary, no.
Amy, thank you very much for your time as always.
Bye, guys.
That's Amy Just from the Lincoln Journal-Star.
You don't want to get booed at a wedding, but that would be a good way to get booed at a wedding.
Hey, I've been searching to see if this was like the series of trivia questions that were asked about Hitler. So
yeah, did anything lead to that where you're like, oh, this is getting kind of
so
dark?
I think it was, so it's where was Hitler born?
Yeah.
Austria.
Yes.
Like,
which Indiana Jones movie was he in?
What kind of phone was Brenda Tracy texting on?
Oh,
A, Motorola. B, burner. C, she was on an iPhone 14. What are we doing?
I know, like the fact that
how long did
I've been in that world before. Michigan State be better, a third party, everything that comes into your system, that's going to be presented on a game day, you go over.
That is not an excuse.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of, and we've all been involved in game day operations in various sports. When we don't really know what, we show up, we do our job, and I can only imagine, and I'll just use, my example as a PA announcer. I can only imagine like being at an Omaha hockey game and all of a sudden, all right, here's our promos going on during the intermission. All of a sudden I look up the video board and I see that. Like, wait, what just happened? I would have loved to know, because I'm sure everybody's like on headsets that are communicating back and forth, what that chatter must have been like when that is up on the video board.
Didn't it take them a while before they responded and put out a
it was
apology?
it would have been early evening-ish. Yeah, it wasn't right away or anything. I can only imagine the conversations that were being had. And again, a lot of students that probably had no impact on that are just helping out during game day apps are like, what the hell just happened?
I'm sure there was another video. It was probably, Hitler on the video board going, just like Berlin surrendered, Michigan will surrender.
Okay.
Go Sparty.
They're like, you know what? We're not going to do that one. We'll just use it part of the trivia. Come on.
Also, maybe read the room. What's going on?
Well, exactly. Yeah. Not that it's ever acceptable, but especially, yeah.
All right.
That's
at least they got basketball, and they should have a pretty good basketball team. I'm telling you, you have no idea. So they play Minnesota this weekend. None of us have any idea what we're walking into in East Lansing. If they happen to lose again,
I think we kind of know.
I mean, you could be going to East Lansing to get bowl eligible against a team that
quit.
The only bowl that they want. Exactly. All right. We'll come back. We'll wrap this show. Crossover's coming up here in a little bit. Matt Rule speaks at 11:30 today. He's been bumped up by 30 minutes. If you are planning accordingly on the Connor Happer show, you do all of that. We'll finish next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One. From Minneapolis, the Vikings and 49ers take the Monday Night Football stage this week. Brock Purdy and San Francisco coming off their first loss of the season. Now they face a Minnesota team looking to build on their win last week. Join Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner and me for all the action on Monday Night Football.
If it's the NFL, it's on 1620 The Zone.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is always looking to make your game day bigger and better. Cheer on your favorite team this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall showing up to 8 games at once. TVs are everywhere else you can look with a state-of-the-art audio and video system. Enjoy a big old pizza or award-winning char-buffed wings. There's just no better way to do your game day. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road. And for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Many people go back to the dealership out of habit,
or because they think the dealer is the only one who knows how to fix their car. At Omaha Car Care, we offer a better option. We have ASE certified technicians, the technology to service any vehicle, and free loaner cars. The dealer will sell you a package of services. We'll provide the service you want for your car as your trusted partner. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Babbel. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at babbel.com/TNC.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. And now try Babbel for free by texting TRAVEL to 64,000. Text TRAVEL to 64,000. That's TRAVEL to 64,000.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, quick final note before we finish talking about Nazis.
Never thought we'd have to actually say that.
So this is easy. Emmett Johnson is your number one running back for the rest of the season. You can look to the future. Anthony Grant's an uncomfortable conversation. He can still play, but Emmett Johnson is your running back one. There, I said it. Has nothing to do with Nazis.
Thank you. Well, you said before we put that to bed. Here's a nugget.
Problem is Saturday's game, Ramir Johnson and Gabe Ervin would have killed that game.
Yes.
They would have dominated that game.
Yep.
Nebraska doesn't have, they don't trust enough, even though Grant was a 3-down back last year.
Mm-hmm.
They don't trust anybody on their roster now that is a 3-down back. And they've looked at Emmett Johnson as just maybe a 3rd-down back. Time is now to see what you have.
Yep.
There's no guarantee that Lacey's going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing Grant. You get Ramir and Ervin back. It's a good opportunity in the last 5 games. Instead of having that uncomfortable conversation every week about Grant and he lays it on the carpet. Yeah. And if he doesn't do it, he wins, losses, going to lose my job. Make it easy. Grant doesn't need to start. Needs to play. Doesn't need to start. Time to find out the full extent of what Emmett Johnson can do for your offense.
I agree.
All right. On that note, let's finish with Hitler. Subject is Hitler, not Hitler calling the show. Hello, Connor.
How's it going, Gary?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Sure.
How are we doing? Connor and I had a discussion on Saturday night.
Okay.
All right.
Not that Connor.
You're already mad.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, you
no,
are. You're getting heated up.
No, I don't know why you waited. I don't know why you waited 54 minutes Saturday, and then that was your call. You're better than that. You've had great calls.
I actually hung up on Saturday. I waited more than 55 minutes. I was trying to talk to you, Gary.
All right. Well, I'm glad to talk to you, Connor. What would you like to talk about?
Hitler.
Okay. Is this going to be a conversation that'll be able to go out over the air, or are we going to have to dump you?
Oh, come on. We're already starting like that. Jesus. You started the conversation, not me.
Yeah, but my conversation has been we could air it. I'm just worried about you.
I'm good.
Okay.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. What do you got?
All right. So you're doing a lot of talking about the running backs. Anthony Grant. He fumbles a lot, but he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He'll take us to the house. He's not bad.
Gotcha.
Are you going to pop in as the running back, Gary?
Nope. I'm out of eligibility and probably, yeah.
Oh, you're out of eligibility. Excuses. That's all I'm hearing.
I know. What do you got on the docket for today, Connor? What are you doing today?
Oh, not a lot. Just listening to you talking about Nazis.
Okay, that's good. All right. You have yourself a wonderful day, and I expect you to be better the next time you call in a Big Red Overreaction. All right. You're better than that. All right.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. All right, Connor, be good. All right, have a good morning.
I don't even
So Connor was the
I'm kind
first
of
caller on
speechless
Big
right
Red
now.
Overreaction.
Okay. Was he waiting patiently too?
Yeah, he waited 54 minutes, and the first thing out of his mouth is Dylan Raiola.
Oh.
So it was after Nebraska won.
Mm-hmm.
So Connor had some thoughts. There were other thoughts in there. Just kind of an interesting call to start Big Red Overreaction. So I'm glad that Connor called back.
But it had nothing.
And now Connor Connor got at me on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah. He said I was call me a sissy for hanging up on him. I don't think I hung up on him. I think basically he hung up on himself because it was such a bad call. But he's actually called in before, and he's actually had some like coherent, good calls. So I don't know what happened there. Then I thought maybe we'd follow up this morning when I saw Connor pop up here. I don't know that was a good call.
Well, I'm glad we didn't go with like what was on the topic line there on the call screener, but I wasn't sure where he was going exactly. So
yeah, all right. Thank you, Jimmy, for screening.
Yeah. Hey, it could have been worse.
Remember, I didn't hang up on him this time. All right.
He seemed nice.
Some people told me that's not even his real name. His real name is something else. It's not Connor.
Oh. Well, yeah, because at first I'm like, this isn't the Connor that's about to set foot in the studio. So
I mean, that's one way to get on. Like, I don't want to go in the studio. I'm in
Guys, I'm out here. Can we wrap up the show?
Yeah,
I'd like to get on with my show.
Yeah.
Coworker Connor's on the line.
All right. On that note, that was a good show. Finishing
was
with
fun.
Hitler, I blame Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down, it's the third party that Michigan State hired. Okay, if we're playing the blame game here, at least that's what Michigan State says. Don't blame them. Blame the third party that they'll never use again.
All right. Crossover is coming up next. In tomorrow, reaction to what Matt Rule's saying. It's Purdue week. Don't overlook the Boilermakers. They won 4 of 5 against Nebraska. They might be in teardown mode, but they're coming off a bye week. We will see. We'll discuss all that coming up tomorrow when we're back with you at 6 with Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.